How's that for an intro? Welcome to the Church of the Red Pill. Thank you very much. Today we're going to talk about, can the red pill be saved? Please, everyone, get together. Gather around, children. I have a lot to get into today. Oh boy, won't that be fun. Here we go. Oh, guess who? Wait. You guys. Holy mackerel. Look, who's that? It's the Greyhound Cam. I have Bambi in with me today. How cool is that? That's my girl. I don't usually have Bambi in here. I usually have Ned, but Ned's sleeping in the other room right now. It will give me one moment to switch over, and now you can see me. How's it going, guys? Today's going to be fun. There we go. Standard. I'm not a Greyhound. So I wanted to get into some stuff that I have been writing about, and I have been sort of digging my teeth into, I think, with respect to the book. I'm finally getting to a point in the book right now where I have round 6 of edits are back. I think this is it. I'm done. So I'm doing the layout right now. I've got a few other things I need to sort of figure out as far as distribution and how I want to go about launching this new book. But as you guys probably already know, I'm writing a book on the red pill and religion. I've been working on this for coming up on about 3 years now. When I did when I did Positive Masculinity, that published in July of 2017. And I, right around that same time, I had people asking me, I was trying to address, I think, the most common questions that I had at that time. When I did Preventive Medicine, which was my second book, it was in response to everybody saying, I wish I would have had this, I wish I would have had this information sooner. I wish I would have, I wish I would have had the Rational Male before I got divorced, before I got married, before I did X, Y, and Z, before I had kids, before I made the decisions that I did, before I got, before I believed the things that I did. I think one of the reasons why we call it the red pill is because it's the most apt metaphor. I know a lot of people think that still, even to this day, think that it's kind of hokey. Like, oh, you just got that from a movie. Yeah, we did. And it's a term that's been around for a long time, but it's still the most apt. And I think it's also the most abused, unfortunately, right now, because it's so useful, right? I mean, you believed one thing, and then you moved into another set of beliefs as a result of either trauma or something awakened you, right? In every one of my books, I quote the Matrix movie, the first one. And I used to use this as my signature when I was a moderator on SOSWA, but it's always been, why do my eyes hurt? That's what Neo asks of Morpheus when he first unplugs him from the Matrix and he's rebuilding him, right? He's got his acupuncture or whatever. Like he's, rebuilding his muscles and his stuff. And he asks Morpheus, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus says, it's because you've never used them before. And I always thought that was kind of, I don't know why I thought that was profound at the time. I did. Even when I first watched the movie, I thought that was pretty profound. And I think that a lot of guys are still struggling with their eyes hurting. We often refer to the red pill as sort of the red pill lens. And once you put it on, it doesn't come off. Once you are unplugged, you don't go back into the Matrix. You're not like Cypher, right? Remember Cypher? Cypher tried to plug his ass back into the movie or into the Matrix, and it was foolish to even considering that you're sort of at the mercy of your old way of thinking or your old paradigm, knowing that on some level of consciousness, knowing that things aren't the way that you think that they are. And so I always thought that was kind of profound. I don't know, maybe it was kind of stupid at the time, but I put it in all my books because that was something I was kind of, I don't know. I just thought it was something that was relevant at the time because we were still sort of hashing out all these ideas. I have been a part of the red pill, what is now the red pill. We didn't even call it that back then, for almost 20 years now. 18 years to be exact. I kind of peg it at about 2002. Actually, SOSWAV, the forum, my old forum that I used to be on, I still lurk there occasionally if I'm like kind of like seeing what's going on, see in that sphere, I guess. But I'm not a moderator. I haven't been a moderator there since like 2014, I think is when I sort of gave it up and started writing full time for the blog. I mean, as far as my writing anyways was concerned with that. And so I've been around. I've seen the trends. I've seen things come and go. I've seen the moralism come. I've seen the moralism go. I've seen no FAP come. I've seen no FAP go. I've seen I've seen the grifters come. I've seen the grifters go. I've seen everything imaginable, and it comes in cycles. And I was just mentioning this last Wednesday with Ryan Stone. Thank you, Ryan, for joining me last Wednesday's show. And then again, yesterday on Rule Zero, we were going to, or I guess we kind of got into it. We were kind of getting into what I called red pill voodoo. Right? And this is another trend that keeps recycling. It keeps coming back over and over again. And if you think that you have some new take on red pill, you probably don't. If you think you have some new novel idea, or you think you're going to advance the red pill or red pill awareness, or whatever whatever your definition of that is, and you think you're going to carry it on to the next level, go do your homework first. Go study your history first. Damn. Thank you, Chris. I will put that up right immediately. Thank you for that, my friend. And your red pill lens. That very, very profound of you. Thanks, Chris. Chris is a friend of the show. I've been on his show several times. Chris, I'm going to have you on. And not just for the $100 you just gave me. No, I got to have you on. I got to have you on here. So I got to bring you on. I've been on your show at least twice that I can remember. So you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Oh, and by the way, I will. I'll post. I've got JPEGs. I got a picture of it. But a couple. Was it last? No, it wasn't last Sunday. It was last Wednesday. Not this last one, but the prior Wednesday. I mentioned I was going to donate all of the super chats that I got from that show to GraySave, and I will be doing that. I've already got the check; it's already sent. I took pictures of it. I just don't have it handy right now. But if you follow my Twitter feed, I'll put that up there. I mean, it's not for I'm virtue signaling, but you guys helped me out. Thank you very much for that. If you guys want to donate to GraySave, which is my charity, which you can help out dogs just like my good friend Bambi down here, you can go to, where is it? There it is. That's GraySave. It's just graysave.org /donate. So there you go. That's if you want to go there, or if you want to give me a super chat, that's fine too. Here's the rules for today's show. Once again, if you have a question or a comment of some kind, if it is on, thank you. That is a super chat right there. See, if you have a question or a comment or anything like that. Again, this is not necessarily sort of like, fix my problem show, but if you have something that's on topic or you want to ask something about what I'm getting into today, that's fine. If it is off topic, I will save the super chats till the end. I have Sam Bada, the voice of the Rational Male. If you've ever listened to any of the Audible books, that is Sam in the chat right now. He's on the YouTube chat as it is. So say hi to proper, give big ups, whatever, to Sam Bada, and he is moderating for me. And so he collects these for me and sends them to me so that I don't miss them, because they go pretty quick. They just blow right by. So today's topic, we're going to talk about, can the red pill be saved? And you guys are probably wondering, what the hell am I talking about? Well, I had a lot of, I did a lot of homework, and I did a lot of, let's just say, backwork, I guess, for yesterday's show for Rule Zero, and then I did also a whole lot of it for last Wednesday as well, when I was with Ryan, and we talked about semen retention on Wednesday. And I kind of, we got into like sort of the sciencey side of things. I didn't think we really did justice to the sort of woo-woo magical thinking side of that whole thing. And granted, I guess we did a little bit get into it, and I really wanted to touch on that yesterday on Rule Zero, and we got into those things as well. The problem, with what's this? What did you say? Sorry, let me back up a bit. The red pill's taking us back to tribalist times. Is it or is it not? We'll see. I'm glad you brought that up, Alpha Male, because I'm going to talk about shamanism and tribalism here in just a minute. But I don't think it is taking us back as much as we're already headed back anyways. Thank you for your work. Oh, thank you, Mr. Terminator, very much. What do you think of shows like Kevin? Okay, that's off topic, Anon. I'll come back to you later on. I'll come back to you, Anon. So what I wanted to get into yesterday on Rule Zero, on the Rule Zero show, was I kind of wanted to talk about why it is that we see a lot of these guys, and this, again, these things come in cycles, why it is that we see superstition sort of come up in the manosphere constantly. Why it is we see, why do we look for answers, like sort of metaphysical answers to physical, like material, like real world problems? And why it is that we tend to want to, it seems like the simplistic answer, I think. And and not to, disrespect or whatever, disqualify alphas here. It's like red pill's taking us back to tribalist times. I think we're already heading back to tribalist times, and it has really, red pill awareness is, I think, the extension of a bigger kind of new enlightenment right now. And that's, I'm sorry, I know it sounds like really like, oh yeah, I used this big orchestral thing for the intro today. I don't mean to be LARPy or over the top with that kind of stuff, but it's just that I really think that when we have big transitions like this, when we have big jumps in technology, when we have big jumps in social shifts, we have things like that. Like one of the comparisons I made to where we're at right now is I really feel like we're at the point where the printing press, the Gutenberg printing press, sort of revolutionized the world, essentially, in Western Europe, right around, I think it was like the just right before the Renaissance. I think it was right before the Renaissance. Anyway, movable type. I want to say maybe it was the mid 1500s. I'm not sure. 1400s, 1500s. And after that, it sort of revolutionized everything by printing the Bible, of course, and then it increased literacy in that time. And it essentially made people aware of things that the layperson wasn't usually aware of. And that's really what's sort of happened, I think, with the internet right now. The average person has access to information accurate or inaccurate. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying we have access to information that has changed the world. And as a result of, say, the Gutenberg Bible, that caused, of course, the Protestant Reformation, which prior to that was, throughout Europe was all the Holy Roman Church, right? That was essentially that was a form of government at the time. It's not that there weren't others. It's just that was one that was sort of I think it was the first estate or the second. I forget which estate it was, but it might have been the first or the second. I'm not sure. I think it might have been the second estate. Maybe it was the first. I don't know. Anyways, but we've replaced that now. And we've replaced the sort of first estate, I think, with what I have read. I forget the name of the book, but it's now being called the clerisy rather than the clergy. And the clerisy, of course, is our village. It's our mainstream media. It's the internet. It's our access to information and the control of that information. And in no other time in human history have we had the kind of access to information, good and bad, let's just say, ever since the rise of social media, the rise of the internet, global internet. I think that it has exponentially increased the rate of globalization. We've already had globalization, really since the age of industrialization, we've had globalization. But now that was at one rate. And then as soon as we had the internet, then suddenly we're interconnected and it's more immediate. So if you were to go and take your cell phone and show somebody just back in, like, say, 1950 and say, I have access to the entire world's information in this little thing right here, right? And this right here, want to see? What do you want to, remember when you used to have to get the Encyclopedia Britannica? And that was how you would learn about just sort of like random facts. And you had to actually have a drive, I think, to be a well-educated, well-informed person on a great variety of things. Prior to the internet, I'm getting this out of, by the way, I've been sort of backtracking through Robert Greene's book Mastery, and at no other time in human history have we had access to mastery. It used to be restricted. If you wanted to be a great carpenter, a great painter, a great architect, about whatever you wanted to be a master, a great musician, composer, or whatever. I'm thinking in terms of art, but there's other things you can be a master at, obviously. You had to spend, what is it? They say 10,000 hours on whatever it is, and then you're a master. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's, sort of like the rule of thumb, I guess. And at no other time in human history has it been easier to attain a sense of mastery as a result of the fact that we can go on YouTube and learn how to hang drywall. Or I learned how to put this crap back up on here, by the way. Thank you, YouTube. And by the way, I'm about halfway through, so if one of those falls down, please forgive me. Boy, wouldn't that be embarrassing? So along with that, and I've made this case before, is that not only have we globalized our socioeconomic realities and our political realities, obviously that we can see that right now. You know, the United States catches a cold and the rest of the world sneezes, kind of thing, or vice versa, whatever it is. But it's not just a political thing. It's not just an economic thing. It's also a sexual market thing. And I made this case yesterday on Rule Zero about how we've gone from our understanding, I think, of men and women, our intersexual like relationships or intersexual dynamics, for at least the last 3 generations. Let's just say the Boomer generation, Gen X, and maybe Gen Y, or if you want to call them millennials. We're still kind of operating on this old order way of thinking, and that old order way of thinking about men and women was based on a localized sexual marketplace. When I talk to guys like Myron Gaines, or I talk to Troy Francis, or I talk to John from Modern Life Dating, or even other guys who are out there actually in the field, getting laid and dating and running game and basically taking the stuff that I've been writing about for the last 18 years and applying it in a different context, I have to see that context is different because we live in different times. But not only that, we're still clinging to our old order way of thinking. So when I'm talking about things and Myron's like, well, that's true. That's, foundationally that's true. But like today, Instagram is where, women, that's basically the biggest dating app on planet Earth is Instagram, because that's what, it's also the way that employers do research on their potential employees. Go look at your Facebook, go look at your socials, whatever it is, because people are just so eager to put themselves out there and to, they want to look good. That's their advertising. Everyone is a brand of me today. And I talked about this in 2018 when I did the State of the Manosphere address. And I feel like I kind of need to do another one of those because now we're in 2020. But I went back and I looked at some of that, and because I was thinking about what I wanted to do for the Rule Zero live event, which is coming up, by the way. The tickets will be open on the 12th through the 12th through the 16th of this month. And then the actual event is on October 2nd through the 3rd. And I'll give you more information at the end of the show. So I won't bore you with that right now. But when I'm looking at the old videos of me, and it's like I'm kind of, I don't want to say like I'm predicting the future or whatever. It's just like, what's coming down the pipes and what I could see pattern wise. And a lot of that has come true. And one of those things that I mentioned was the brand of me. And a lot of guys are the brand of me. I've talked about this as far as the hustle economy is concerned, but everybody can be an expert if they want to, if they have the wherewithal or the gumption, whatever you want to call it, to go and educate themselves. If you want to learn certain things, you can find classes. I mean, we're seeing that right now. Like because of COVID, now suddenly a university like UNLV or UNR, I'm here in Nevada, those universities, suddenly they're online. And you mean I didn't have to actually, get a dorm room and pay for these things and pay for food and get a part-time job so that I can go 4 years of college to get a degree that I might use as a basis for a career at some point. Statistically, I probably won't. But now you're telling me that even after all that, I don't even really have to go to that school. All I got to do is log in and I can go and get the same education and get the same diploma as a result of that, even if I wanted to do that. Why am I bothering with college at all? Because college is an old order way of thinking. College is what we used to do prior to the internet. Going to college, there's certain things that you have to be present for to learn. Okay, hands-on stuff, trade school stuff, obviously. Not saying that. But higher education, the point was the purpose of getting a better degree was to, get a good job, right? Especially if you want to get into medical school or you want to do something. I don't know if you can get a law degree online. Maybe you can. I'd be really sketchy about somebody who got it from like University of Phoenix or something like that. But you can do that. You can learn a lot of things online. And even if you don't become a master of them, you can be master enough to get the job done or the things that you need to get done. But at no time in history have we been more lazy. Have we been more sort of lethargic about wanting or even desiring to be a master at something? I think we're very scattered these days with respect to not only our just the things that we like to do, but we're distracted. We're multitasking all the time, even when we don't think we're multitasking. I'm multitasking right now. I'm talking to you. I'm looking at the chat. Bambi's over there somewhere. I'm trying to see what the lighting levels are going to be here in a few minutes. There's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to, even if it's just peripheral awareness. But at no other time have we been more lazy. We have access to the world's information. We have access to, we have access to masters who are happy to teach us, or you can watch their courses so that you can learn from them sort of virtually anyways. But at no other time in history have we been more lazy about it or more lethargic about it, or we get into it for a little while and then we're on to something else because we're so distracted by, the shiny keys, baby shiny keys over here, that kind of stuff. And we're just looking around, trying to figure things out for ourselves. Usually what it comes down to is if we want to learn something, it's usually because we have a specific task that we have to complete. How do I fix my tire? I looked at, I was helping a friend with renovations and we didn't know how to hang drywall. We know how to hang drywall now. Remember that. But I'm not a construction guy. I'm not an electrician, but I can learn how to do simple things that I need to as a result of that. But yet, am I a master? No, I just do what I have to do. And I think that right now we're sort of applying this in a global sense to things like the sexual marketplace. So you'll get guys who will get into certain things with respect to how to solve an immediate problem. So I want to get laid. Okay, here's pickup artistry. Here's game. Here's this. Okay, here's some scripts. Here's some things that you can do, like rote memorization. It's not encouraging you to actually internalize it or to challenge your beliefs. It's not there to do that. It's just to solve a problem. And I talked about that in one of my earliest essays, and it is in the first book, and it's called Dream Girls and Children with Dynamite. And that's kind of where I wanted to start today, because a lot of guys will use game or will use a red pill as sort of a means to an end. And they'll get into it for one thing, but they'll stay in it for another thing. And that other thing is what really is shocking the hell out of a lot of people right now. As I predicted back in 2018, and actually as late as 2019 at another convention I was speaking at, I mentioned this. I said the red pill is going to have a PR problem very soon, because as we move into this election season, as things start to shift culturally here in the United States, and not just the US, but worldwide, because remember, we're globalized, or globalizing, almost completely globalized, certainly globalized in the sexual marketplace. But as that happens, the red pill is going to have a PR problem, and the red pill has been so decentralized for so long with respect to intersexual dynamics that there is no president. Sorry, there is no president of the Manosphere. There is no Godfather. I'm flattered as I am. There is no leader. There's no central guy that's directing the shots. There's no Illuminati of the red pill. In fact, the red pill as a brand has been co-opted. That's why, actually, because it's so decentralized. The term red pill is if not now, it certainly will be rendered kind of meaningless. When the MRAs would throw rocks at me for being a PUA, or throw rocks at me because I challenged them on certain things that they don't like to be challenged on, then suddenly that red pill stuff is, or Roosh, like back when Roosh, before he lost his mind, would get challenged by guys like Paul Elam, or we would get challenged by, people on like the MRA side of things, or even, what was becoming the MGTOW kind of thing back in 2014, 2015. It wasn't what it was then as it is now. But I can remember all of that, and particularly MRAs were, and the women who love them were very, at least standoffish, if not just openly hostile to anything that was red pill. Because I think maybe they kind of thought it was schmaltzy, or they kind of thought it was just like guys like Roosh, right? And clearly it's not, and it has had some longevity. But Back then, they didn't want to have any kind of association with the red pill as a brand, quote unquote, red pill. And they really didn't want to have any association with the red pill when Roger decided to shoot people in Santa Barbara in May of 2014. And they really didn't want to have anything to do with the red pill when Alec Manassian did. And we did his, took a drive through Toronto or Ontario. I can't remember which one. Or any other time that the mainstream media applies the red pill to the men's rights movement. In fact, they will constantly use that because it's easy. That's easy to understand. They don't understand. They think that it has to be some sort of centralized movement, that it has to be some kind of army. Like, oh, they're radicalizing all these young men. It's the MRAs. It's like, they're the last people you need to be worried about, mainstream media. They are certainly a waning star at this moment. But when they decided to use the name The Red Pill on Cassie J's abortion of a movie, that's when they owned it. So when the MSM hears anything red pill, they automatically apply it to MRA because that's easy. It's easy to understand. They don't have to do any work. As I said, you can find out, you can do the homework, you can be a master of the Manosphere, by the power of the red pill. You could be a master of it. Journalists doing your hack job, attack pieces on the red pill and whatever you think it is. But every single time I read an article about the red pill, about the Manosphere, about even MRAs, or about whatever, back in 2015, 2016, it was the alt-right, right? That's what the red pill was really about. No, it was not really about that. It was about intersexual dynamics. It always started out that way, and it should still be that way, but everybody decided that they wanted to hop on board. And MRAs, you own that shit now, man. That is on you. So you get to, anytime the red pill is mentioned as sort of in a derogatory sense, or something happens, guess what? Because you put your name on that movie, now they're going to come and look at you. And good riddance, and I hope they do. I really hope they do. Because I remember when I made a stink about that, and this was back in 2015, 2016, when Milo Yiannopoulos and Mike Cernovich decided to put some money into the distribution of that movie so they could both call themselves filmmakers or film producers or whatever. That movie never would have saw the light of day if it hadn't been for the Manosphere. Because people piled on and they go, oh, this looks good. Let's go give her some money. Everybody else is doing it. And so she actually made way more money than she needed to do the distribution, or the original distribution. And, where's everybody now? Now, what good did that do? How did that in any way benefit men's lives? How did that in any way keep the noose off of men's necks? What did that do? Absolutely nothing. It did wonders for her career. It did wonders for her journey of self-discovery, because that's what she billed it as. It wasn't about the MR. That movie, The Red Pill by Cassie J, was not about MRAs. It was about her. It was about her becoming enlightened to all of this. I'm not a feminist anymore. No, Cassie, you are a feminist. Everyone, I'm a feminist. Everybody's a feminist right now. If you were born after 1965, you have had feminist ideology in some way, shape, or form influence the course of your life. Simple as that. You might not identify it. You might not dye your hair fuchsia, but you're a feminist, or you believe something about feminism, or you're living in you're living in the product of a social product of what feminist ideology has created up to 2020. That's as simple as that. So you guys get to own that. And that's the thing about the red pill per se, is that it's a loose brand. And so I use it because I can show you posts of mine where we were using terms like the red pill or the matrix from all the way back in 2002 on SoSuave. I can show you my earliest posts where I was using the term red pill. And I think that even now, MGTOWs kind of lose track of the narrative because why would they? They don't want to, why bother? It's like they're busy doing whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know what it is. They don't want to know that their movement is actually the product of pickup artists from the very beginning of, like, say, the 2000s. They don't want to, God forbid. I keep saying, we the red pill, MRAs, MGTOW, black pill, whatever the hell it is, whatever your in red pill enlightened idea of intersexual, intergender dynamics is right now, you owe a debt of gratitude to guys like, Mystery. I want to say Markovic. What is it? Eric von Markovic. There you go. You owe him. You go buy him a beer if you see him in a bar. Or Neil Strauss. As much as I dislike Neil Strauss today, those guys, even as much as I have a bad taste in my mouth about Owen Cook right now because he's decided to change his grift. Those guys in the early days, they were out there and they were collecting data that no one had ever done before. And courtesy of the new enlightenment of the new internet age, we all had access to that information. And from there, we got to build other things. We got to build the red pill. We got to build game. What is game right now? We got to evolve game. Let's just say, POA is not gone. It's just evolved into something else. Guys will want to still think of it as something, like seedy and greasy or whatever, game's still around. Just people apply it differently if they apply it at all. Red pill's around as a result of that because it was sort of the logical, I think, extension of collecting all that data. I don't feel bad in saying that I was one of the guys that collected a lot of data from those guys. MRAs, you wouldn't even know who MRAs were had it not been for guys wanting to find out how to live a better life in a gynocentric social order. You wouldn't even know what the word gynocentrism is if it weren't for PUAs, MRAs, and then MGTOWs. You would not know those things. So go back and do your history if you really want to. If you want to come at me for something, at least come prepared, come correct, right? So as a result of that is a lot of guys along the way had a lot of their beliefs challenged. In fact, that's really the basis, I think, of going from being sort of blue pill conditioned into a red pill conditioned, a red pill aware state. So it's easy to, no, I don't conveniently forget Tom Likas, dude. Go piss off, dude. Go look at, go read, what is it? I think I put it in I think it's in book 2. I quote Tom Likas a lot in there. In fact, I'm the one that, if you go and you look at, what the hell's the name? I have what's called the Slut Paradox. That's what it is. It's an essay I wrote called the Slut Paradox. I quote him a lot. I've tried to get Tom on this show. I've tried to get on Tom's show. I would still let Tom, if you're still doing anything, I know he's retired now, but if you're still doing anything online, I'd love to have you on here. I'd love to talk to you. Tom will go ahead and talk to like Dr. Warren Farrell. I've been on, documentaries with him. He'll go and he'll talk to Paul Elam, but why doesn't he want to talk to me? Let's find out. Anyways, yeah, Tom Likas was, I would say he was early proto red pill, larval stage red pill. The thing I think that really turned people off to Tom, and I listened to Tom when he had a terrestrial radio show back in like 1999, 98, 99, somewhere around there. And I didn't really pay much attention to him until after like 9/11. And I started to listen to more talk radio because I wanted to get information, right? That's how I was on a commute or I was driving somewhere or whatever. And I'd listen to him on the commute, and I sort of got addicted to listening to Tom Likas. And I liked it because he was fun, and I thought he had a good delivery, but I could understand how that delivery sort of rubbed people the wrong way. And I always thought, this is what I thought about Tom, is that he knew what he was talking about. He'd already been through like 4 divorces. So he had maybe he was a sucker in some ways, or he was previously a sucker and now a chump, whatever it is, and now he has been enlightened. I think he's got to be in his 60s right now, maybe even into late 60s almost. I still think he has a lot. He had a lot of good stuff, and his delivery was really rough because that's what made him a popular guy on the radio. If you don't know who Tom Likas is, it's Tom Leykis, and he used to have a terrestrial radio show down in Los Angeles, and then he took it online for a while. I still listen to old stuff from him as well. So anyways, Tom's definitely one of the godfathers of what is now the Manosphere, but I don't think he would want to lay claim to it as is. Okay, you think I take MGTOW too harshly? Well, that's not what today's going to be about. The only reason you think that I take MGTOW too harshly is because it challenges what your ego investment is into MGTOW. Okay? I've said this before, and I don't think I'm saying anything controversial. When it comes to MGTOW, there's only one uniting theory or one uniting, I guess, mission statement. If there's an elevator speech for MGTOW, I understand there's MGTOWs that bang dolls, and then there's MGTOWs who would like to think that they're married, right? I mean, there runs the gamut of what makes a guy going his own way, okay? And the only unifying thing that is in MGTOW, and I will say this one last freaking time, okay, is that what defines a MGTOW is that it is a man who no longer makes women the metric of his life, of his self-worth. That's it. However you institute that, however you apply that, that's the only thing that I can think of that makes a guy a MGTOW. So if you want to say, well, you can't be married and be a MGTOW, okay, well, that's your definition of it. But there's a guy somewhere who is married and has no longer made his wife the metric of his own self-worth, his own life, or the direction he's going, whatever. And I said this a long time before MGTOWs even showed up, was that women should only ever be a complement to a man's life. I talked about mental point of origin, which is exactly what these guys keep talking about in MGTOW. It's taking it, it's red pill in another name. So how you apply that is really sort of what makes different branches of MGTOW. Again, but thank you for that, because this is a really good example. What happens is then you get people, stupid, young, naive, or clickbait seeking quote unquote journalists who want to talk about MGTOW, or we talk about the red pill, or talk about everything's an MRA. MGTOWs are MRAs, red pills are an MRA, everything's an MRA, right? Because it's easy. It's something that's stupid and easy. It's 3 letters. Men's rights activists, they must be misogynists because men have all the rights. And we live in a patriarchal society. And all of this old order thinking that we still cling to and that women still think is relevant in 2020, we need buzz terms for that. We need things like the red pill. We need things like the MRAs, MGTOWs, those MGTOW incels. There's another. Incel's the more recent one, right? You're an incel. You know who knows? I'll bet you this. Go ask your grandmother if she knows what an incel is. Go ask a random girl at a club. Do you know what an incel is? Or at school, or your teacher, right? Ask anybody of any generation. I guarantee you they probably know what it is, because it's been so popularized in the last 3, maybe 4 years that it's an insult now. You're an incel. Ask any college, or ask any high school girl or high school boy, or a cuck. Cuck is another one. Those are easy ones. Let's throw those ones out there. So easy to call somebody a cuck, because what is cuckold? And you know what's funny is you'll see articles saying, well, cuck is actually racist because these guys think that it's black men taking away white women or something like that. It's like, no, it's cuckoldry. It's a basic thing. It's about male paternity. And you know why they're upset when you say cuck or you use it as an invective? Is because it refers back to cuckoldry. And what that happens is if anybody looks under the cuckoldry rock, they will find the war on paternity in there. And that's why it's really a real thing. It's not about men's insecurity. That's another. We keep coming back to old order thinking like men have these insecurities, and that's why they're insecure in their masculinity. How many times are we? You know how long that trope, that boilerplate trope. You know what a trope is? That trope has been around since the 70s, since 1974. I would love to. I should do a Google Trends search for that term, male insecurity. Somebody do that. Go tell me how long that's been around, or when the rise of that thing came up. I'll guarantee it was right after the sexual revolution, because that's when that was instituted. But if you look at anytime a woman says, well, you have a fragile male ego, you know how long that term's been around? It didn't start just back in 2010. That's been around since I was 10 years old. They've been using that. You're so macho. Stop being a macho prick, right? Macho, machismo. You're a macho guy. Stop being so macho. That's an insecure man, right? That we keep harping on that. Old order terminology, old order tropes, old order crap that keeps going and going and going and going. And we still think it's relevant today in our new order, in the way that things are right now. One of the things that feminism uses today is its lifeblood is recycling those terms, recycling the old order, really insecurities for them or whatever, but the old order ideas. Whenever there is a new, and there hasn't been one for a while, you notice this? There has not been any school shootings that I'm aware of in 2020. Why is that? Because everybody's out there worried about COVID, and everybody's out. They can change the narrative anytime they want. That's how in control the village is of like the global social narrative. But next time you see a school shooter like a Nicholas Cruz, and I keep using him as an example, but there's other ones, obviously. Whenever you see those, what's the first thing that comes out? The first thing ever out of the mainstream press is we need gun control. That's a given. We got to cover that base first, right? Then after that, it's what's wrong with the kids today? What's happened to this boy? It's because fathers aren't in the house, or aren't in the home now to instruct the boy in the way that the boy should go. Like, now you want masculinity in the house. Now you want that, right? Because up until that point, we're removing men left and right just for snatching the car keys out of a woman's hand, right? Now, we want men out of the house and out of the way and out of authority until the kid kills somebody, until the crimes start, until they're burning cars somewhere. I've seen this ever since the end of May when the riots start. Where are these kids' fathers? Where they've always been, out of the house, because you are either removing them out of the house or they've been disincentivized to ever be a part of that. Why is it that, 86, 88% of, custody battles end up with the mother? That's why. And it's been going on since the mid 80s. That's why. There you go. Well, it must be the men's fault. Yeah, well, they're easy scapegoats. There are people that you can call in. Well, I'm sorry, I should have known better. He wouldn't have been a shooter if it weren't for me. It's actually, no, it's single mothers. It's not fatherless homes. It is single mothers raising children. It is not fatherlessness. Right? Well, that's, again, using neurolinguistic programming, right? You control the language and you control like how people feel about the message that you're giving, right? You'll notice that whenever they talk about fatherlessness or single family homes, it's never single mothers, because they're doing the lion's share of the real lion's share of raising these generations. What was it? 42% of children in the United States, last I checked, were born out of wedlock. Well, men need to stand up and take responsibility. Yeah, okay, they do. They would probably like to, but they at every stage of that, they're powerless. So if, once the sperm leaves your body, you're done. Everything is her body, her choice, and men, you don't get a say in this argument. Men haven't had a say in reproduction since the sexual revolution, since Roe v. Wade. Men do not get to have anything to do with the human reproductive process in humanity. It's global. That's another thing that's globalizing. So don't give me that crap. But what I was going to say is that every time you see one of these school shooters out there, what's the next thing? Okay, the first thing is gun control. The next thing is going to be, where's the father? Now, after we moved on from that, then we say, well, these poor kids, it's because these boys, they're all boys, right? It's hardly, I think maybe there's one or two school shooters have been a girl, and usually it's because they want to kill some other little girl. I'm going to kill that bitch. But it's usually white boys, white males that we focus on. It's not that they're the only ones, but those are the ones we focus on. But the next step in that chain is masculinity, right? Well, we're teaching these guys these boys not to cry and not to express themselves. And if they were just more emotional and talked about their feelings, then they wouldn't want to go and kill people with it. No, that's exactly why they're doing that. Because you've taught them to do that, because you haven't taught them any discipline, because you haven't taught them to be competitive, because you haven't taught them how to snap back from adversity, how to get up on their feet after they get knocked down. And you know who teaches them that? The men that are no longer around. That's who used to teach them that. Teach them how to deal with rejection. how to deal with defeat, how to come back from defeat, how to be stronger, how to be an ass kicker once, use that as sort of fuel for the next challenge kind of thing. Yeah, I joked about this, with Pat Campbell way back, I think in 2018. They're the result of the trophy or participation trophy generation. Well, how do we get those? Well, we pulled men out of the equation. That's what we've done. So when you see those things, we go through those steps. And one of those, the last step in that chain, of course, is that masculinity is bad. And that if we could in some way erase masculinity, if we could some way get rid of, remove the man, remove MAN from the language, remove MAN from everything. And if we could just do that, then we could finally have this perfect, we could have boys raised as not as defective girls, but as actual girls. And then they'd be perfected girls, because that's the correct way to think about things, is in the feminine priority, the feminine correct tense. So what the next step in that chain of we're going to go from gun control to we're the fathers to it must be masculinity, it must be bad masculinity, to masculinity itself is bad. We've shifted away. I hate it when people keep saying toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is old news. Masculinity itself is toxic. That's the shift. And that happened right around 2017, 2018. We shifted away from qualifying masculinity as good or bad or toxic or non-toxic. We shifted away from all of that. Even the APA, the American Psychological Association, traditional masculinity is a social disease, right? So traditional masculinity, they call it traditional, whatever, I call it conventional. Masculinity is a personality disorder, literally is a personality disorder. They're an ideological organization. That's if you are a clinical psychologist and you belong to the APA right now, you belong to what's known as the clerisy. You belong to a clergy, because it's not about actual science. It's about promoting the interests of the clerisy. It's about promoting the idea of female correctness. And as I said, we've shifted from toxic masculinity, qualifying masculinity, demonizing it, whatever, to masculinity itself is toxic. And it's the source. Testosterone is the most poisonous chemical on planet Earth. And we've got to find some way to eliminate it. And we're seeing that right now. I hope you guys are looking at this too, because I think a lot of this gets mixed up in sort of this racial stuff that the riots and everything else that we see. But what we're looking at is, you want to know why we're in such dire straits here socially right now, is because we've systematically removed the men. And it's kids that are out in the streets. It's not men that are out in the streets. It's not men that are pulling down statues. It's not men that are shouting at people at restaurant tables. It's young people without any masculine discipline, without any idea. I think it was Michael Crichton, the late author Michael Crichton, who called them temporal provincials. Temporal provincials are people who have no interest, have actually, I would say, like a contempt for understanding history. They don't even care about it. They're just living in the now, and this is where we're at. And it doesn't matter. We're just influenced by whatever the wind of influence comes by. They don't care about knowing about the past. They don't care about knowing about the future or how the past could influence the future. They're just temporal provincials. They live in the temporary. They live in the now. And we got there because we don't have men teaching other men. We don't have fathers teaching daughters and sons and daughters. And even if they did, those guys, the men who would be teaching them, they don't know either, because they're temporal provincials as well. We have the sons of temporal provincials who are the sons of other temporal provincials. Look it up. It's actually a thing. I think you can find the definition of it on Wikipedia. What did you say? Oh my goodness. Roosh V is on the MGTOW Mirror Project website. Okay. So is he a MGTOW now? Is he a religious MGTOW? I'm trying to, I've got my notes here. I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here, but let me just reiterate one more time here, is that when I'm talking about MGTOWs, I'm not shitting on MGTOWs. I actually think that a lot. I think they get the diagnosis right. I just think they get the prescription wrong. By and large, I'm not saying everyone is like that. I think that there's only one unifying purpose or one unifying mission statement for them. I already told you what that was. But when you are red pill aware, when you have gone from believing one set of like what the village has taught you, that's why I keep saying that the blue pill is blue pill conditioning. It is literally a psychological conditioning of a person from the earliest ages. I usually refer to this as in male, in boys and men, but there's definitely a blue pill for women as well too. I've talked about that in the past. And in this case, it's a conditioning. It's a social conditioning. It's some people want to say it's like some fiendish, social engineering project. It's engineering for sure, but I don't know if there's any kind of like Illuminati or anything like that. But here's the thing is, if you are cut away from that, if you unplug from the matrix, if you go from being blue pill to being red pill, guess what? Congratulations. If you cross the abyss and you see that there's more prospect and there's more, there's more opportunity in a red pill paradigm, guess what? You can't help but go your own way, because everybody who was in your blue pill past and all those guys that you want to evangelize and save with the red pill, all those guys, and your brother who's making a horrible decision to get married to that bitch, right? Or you want to save your dad because he's on his second marriage or whatever, or you want to in some way help guys because now your eyes are open. Why do my eyes hurt? Right? Your eyes are open. Why is it that why does it feel like you want to do and go and do all that? Well, great, awesome. They're living in one way, but as a man who is now red pill aware, you can't help but go your own way. You're going to live differently. You're going to see things differently. My guys tell me all the time, I can't listen to my 80s power ballads anymore, Rollo. You ruined them for me. I can't listen to REO Speedwagon and Journey. Oh, I hate you. Why? Well, I can't take these damn glasses off. I can't stop. I can't listen to that lyrics anymore. I can't watch that movie. I love that movie. You screwed it for me, man. I can't watch Mrs. Doubtfire and not think it's a horror movie. Those kinds of things that you can't help. Guess what? Congratulations, you're MGTOW. You're going your own way because you're looking at like the world around you in a different way. Guess what else you're going to look at in a different way? You're going to look at your old belief set. And that's where people drop the ball. You want to know what the biggest roadblock I think is? And one of the reasons why I'm writing, I don't have any coffee today. I'm sorry. I'm not amped on anything. It's just like I don't know, get freaked out, get passionate about these things. But you can't help but live in a different way. And I think that when people shift over into seeing things and they can't refute those things, it challenges what I've this isn't my term, it's a psychological term. It challenges their ego investments. What's an ego investment? You guys know what an ego investment is? An ego investment is it's some kind of belief, and it doesn't have to necessarily be like spiritual or religious. It can be just like your belief in how men and women ought to interrelate to each other. It can be something that was fed to you by Disney. It can be your political beliefs. It can be a belief in your country. Patriotism is certainly an ego investment. It can be lots of different things. But when you invest your ego in that belief, what happens is that belief set or that whatever those people tend to hold on to what I call belief sets. Okay. So it's not just one belief. Like if you have a political belief and then you have a religious belief, those might like dovetail together, but that's a part of a belief set. So when a new set of information challenges that belief set, and you have your ego, your personality, a part of who you are, your identity is interconnected with that belief set. That's what's called an ego investment. Your ego is invested, your personality, your ego is invested in those beliefs. And what happens is when somebody challenges those beliefs, and it's easy to, I'm going to put this in religious terms because I'm kind of getting into that today, but it could be politics too. It could be pretty much, or it's very much could be intersexual dynamics, because we have a set of beliefs that we think women ought to be and men ought to be as well. But if you challenge that it's not like I can say, well, your religion is bunk because we just have this new data set over here that shows that clinically, empirically shows that, or the sky is actually blue. It's not green. I know your ego invested in green, but we can empirically see that it's blue. What that is not an attack on the belief. It's not an attack on the so much on the actual practical belief. It's an attack on the person. Because when you attack Christianity, when you attack Islam, when you attack a particular political party that person has an ego investment in, it's so interconnected to that person's personality that the attack on the belief becomes an attack on the person. And so people will go, generally people go into denial, or people, simply, they don't, because they're forced with a choice. Either they abandon that belief or they accept the attack on their person, or else they go into denial, or they try to find some way to say, no, or they'll debate you like endlessly because they're defending that belief. It's an ego, we talk about ego protection. Usually ego protection comes from trying to defend against an attack on an ego investment. So if I say, men need to be more dominant, women need to be more submissive. And if your ego investment is men and women need to be equal, we're egalitarian, equal partnership. If that's your ego investment, and Rollo Tomassi comes in with a book and shows you all these different ways, endless ways that you live in a gynocentric social order. If I show you endless ways about what your religion taught you about men and women is incorrect, that's an attack on your ego, because it's an attack on the belief set, not on you as a person. And I can do that. I can separate that because I'm a third person, right? I'm not inside your head. But usually, and the same thing will happen to me, it'll happen to you, happen to everybody. If you have the deeper the belief, the more tenacious we want to defend it, and the more integral it is to our own personality and what our identities are. I know what my identity is because of my past experience, what I've read, and what I've internalized anyways. Things, I have ego investments. Everybody has ego investments to some degree. And it's really difficult for people to objectively say, well, maybe that belief isn't really what I thought it was. I'd never seen it in that light before. I've never had that access to that data before. And now I'm going to change my mind about that belief. Most people won't do that because it means like it's evidence, or it's an indictment that they have been living their life the wrong way. So if you have been living your life according to a particular belief set, maybe you got it from your family, your church, politicians, your schools are here. That's another one. You want to know why all these kids are wilding in the streets right now? You want to know every last kid that's out there gunning each other down, setting themselves on fire, throwing Molotov cocktails. You want to know, all of them believe it. They all believe it. Every last one of it. And you know why they believe it? Because not to believe it is an attack on their personality. It's an attack on their egos. They are ego connected, ego invested in the belief in socialism, in Marxism, in whatever it is that was fed to them, that was conditioned into them through the course of academia or being brought up or social media, which is now something that's conditioning us, or whatever it is that brought them to that point where they are ego invested in that belief, to the point where they are willing to kill for it, to the point where they are really ready to set themselves on fire for it. That's the depth of that's the more extreme depths of an ego investment. Some are more invested than others. But for me to go and say Marxism is bullshit and tell them that's not an attack on Marxism to them. That's an attack on them because they believe in it and they have been invested in it for a long time. So now let's sort of back up out of this for a second. Chase, I'm going to get to you here in just a second. Let me throw that up there. Rollo, I read Rational Male. It was hard to put down. Thank you. Thanks. Go tell your friends. Plenty of affirmations on lessons learned and lessons I should have learned. Purchased a couple more copies to give to those in need. You're appreciated. Thank you very much, Chase. I appreciate that as well. That's one of the things I think the biggest or the most common thing I get from guys when they read my book for the first time. And Eric here. Where's Eric? Chris Von Erich was saying just a moment ago. It's a life-changing, thing. Coming to that point where you're ready to sort of give up on an old belief set is really, really tough for people. And because it's hard to accept those things. It's hard to say that up to this point, I've been living my life the wrong way because I believed this all the time. Usually what happens, and this is true of the red pill, but it's true of a lot of other things too, is when guys get zeroed out or when guys get to a point of trauma, unfortunately, that's usually the only time that they're open to separating themselves from their beliefs, from their egos, right? Their ego invested beliefs. And as the red pill sort of profligated, I forget, there's your vocabulary word for the day, by the way. As it expanded and grew from, sort of schmaltzy PUAs into something of a more, a praxeology, like to call it a praxeology. As it grew into that praxeology, it challenged a lot of beliefs. And that's where I think we're at right now. And we've been sort of gradually moving there, but now I see a sort of really violent pushback. There are guys that I'm never going to reach, and there's guys that you're never going to reach. And although Chase P, thank you for buying those books, be careful who you give them to, because and if another part of the Matrix, and I'm only using it because it's an apt analogy, is there's a part in the Matrix where Neo is puking on the floor after Morpheus shows him that this is the real world, man. This is the Matrix. This is where we're at. And then he pukes and he passes out, and they rebuild him, whatever. And he's sort of lying on the ground or lying on the ship, deck, and he's just like depressed. And he's like, I can't go back, can I? And Morpheus says, no, but if you could, would you really want to? And there is no going back. There's no coming back from waking up to what you thought was real, what you believed in. And then Morpheus says this. He apologizes. He says, I apologize for doing what I had, but I had to do it. He says, we don't usually unplug people after a certain age because the mind can't accept it. The mind has trouble accepting the new reality. So a younger mind is easier to sort of like to for lack of a better term, red pill, right? To unplug. So young guys have an easier time of it. Guys who are older and more set in their ego investments have a really tough time. And I've met them and I've counseled them. I've counseled 70-year-old guys, and their beliefs were what created their personality, created who they were, created the identity that they have at 70 years old. And then you say, well, sorry, but a lot of the stuff that you based your entire life on, I'm not saying there wasn't some good stuff that resulted from that, but the reason why you're suicidal at 65 years old, 45 to 65, right? The reason for that is because you believe it's a loss of investment. It's a loss of a life. It's a waste of a life. I've wasted my life in all of these beliefs that were nonsense, that were crap. And the result, the depression I'm in right now, the misery, the state of my life, the brink of suicide that I'm on right now is the result of bad data. It is the result of making decisions according to an old order way of thinking. And now we live in a new order. And now this new book has just arrived on my doorstep, and it's called The Rational Male, or whatever it is. And I've gotten, I'm starting to learn more about this. Like guys will talk about it's the nihilism or the despondency that comes from with the black pill. There is no black pill, by the way. There is no black pill. The black pill, there's only the blue pill and the red pill. But the black pill is that it's your inability. If there is a black pill at all, it's your inability to cross over from that old way of thinking, that old order mentality, the conditioning that you got from the blue pill, and seeing the opportunity and seeing the better life that is the potential of a better place in a red pill paradigm. Because you know what? If anything, if you cross over into the red pill paradigm and you're still kind of miserable, at least you're miserable and you know the truth. And at least you're not an idiot. And was it if ignorance is bliss, smack the smile off my face. At least you have an accurate data set, or a more accurate data set than you did before, because you're dealing with old order thinking. And that way of thinking, or that crossover, that switch is really sort of the meat of today's topic. I know it took me a little while to get here, but when we switch our way, when we change our mind, like I tell guys this when they keep saying like, well, how do I increase my SMV? How do I get my girlfriend back? How do I become an alpha male? How do I, like, all that kind of stuff? You're looking at the end without the process. And the process has to start somewhere. And the first place it starts is you changing your mind about yourself. And I know that sounds kind of like Tony Robbins-y. Oh, yeah, I might change your mind about it. Well, I mean, you have to give yourself permission to think in a different way. And most guys don't come to that. They won't come to that unless it's trauma, unless somebody's died, unless their girlfriend blew them out. Like the girl that they thought was, oh, we're going to live happily ever after. And she's like, no, I'm going to go, let's see. I'm going to go bang this guy in the foam cannon party. And you're at a point of trauma. And now you're ready to listen. Now you're ready. You're at a point of insight because what you were doing, you will only get what you've gotten unless you only get what you've gotten if you keep doing what you've done. And guys will get to a point where they got nothing left to lose. That's when you make the most progress. And I hate to say it because that's when like religions come after you. Oh, you're going to kill yourself? Hey, come on over to church with me, right? Hey, join the Church of Scientology. You're down in the dumps. Well, we'll pick you up. You know, that the people look for people who are at their wits' end. And I hate to say it, but the reason why they do that is because it's effective. Because that's when people are at the point where they're ready to let go of their ego investments. When they're ready to let go of a belief that is, well, either incorrect or has not produced the kind of effect that they thought it should produce on their lives up to that point. So if your belief is the soulmate myth, if your belief is, I got to do everything for my girl, if you believe in the nonsense that I see every day in these motivational memes that are on Facebook all the time, a real man, adopts the children of another guy, right? Or the real man does anything for his gal, right? This romantic ideal. If that's your belief and suddenly now it's not your belief, it's usually as a result of trauma. Something happened. That's why women, the first thing out of women's mouths, who hurt you? You're bitter from someone rejecting you. You should try again on love. Like, no, you're using your freaking rational mind. Finally, we got down. We pushed past the emotionalism that's been conditioned in you since the time you were 5 years old, and now you can use your actual brain. We encourage critical thinking here at the Rational Male. And you get to that point and you go, okay, maybe that's not working. Maybe you need to try something new. What is it? The definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay. That's neither here nor there. But I was going to say is that, once you get to that point where you can let go of that belief, and then sort of cross over the abyss. That's what I've mentioned this in my books. If I won't get into too much detail in it because I go into more detail in it in the books, but you have to cross over, man. You have to realize that your old blue pill way of life, the old you, the identity that was created for you by the blue pill conditioning, by a gynocentric social order, by academia, by religion, by popular culture, by the latest song by Cardi B, whatever the hell you listen to, all that created your identity. And that's what it does to greater or lesser extent. All that's dead. Poof, gone. All those hopes that you had as a result of that. Well, if I consider it this, that's why I keep saying it's like being plugged into the matrix. It's like blue pill and red pill, right? There's a transition. But your old self thought, okay, I could go to college and I could get a great job because I went to college, and once I pay off my loans, I'll be good. And I'll do this, and I'll get a great job, and then I'll make management, and then I'll be an owner, or then I'll make my own job or whatever. And then so you have this sort of blue pill like life progression. That's maybe it's different now than it was like saying, the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, a little bit different, but there's still a progression in your head that the blue pill still sells you. And part of that is like how women ought to be, or the way you ought to treat women. You should treat them with respect. We should be equal partners, and it should be egalitarian equalism. And she should be able to be open communication solves all problems, that kind of crap. Right. Then you find out that all of that's nonsense. And then you find out that that's a challenge, not only to your belief, but to yourself, because it's an attack on you. Yeah, you want to know why so many guys reject the red pill when you try to get, here, read this book. Get out of here, you misogynist, you son of a bitch, you chauvinist, 1950s caveman. Yeah, why do you get that? Well, because by giving them that, or by them reading that, it's a challenge to what they've believed in for a long time. And why do they fight you so violently? You're a misogynist. You're exactly the person my women's studies teachers taught me to look for. I'm going to be a white knight. I'm going to be the blue pill white knight, right? I'm going to save my lady, and then she'll love me, and that'll get me closer to the goals that I made according to this blue pill data set I've been fed to me since I was 5 years old. I get closer to my blue pill goal if I fight you. That's what that really is. That you want to know why it's so difficult to get guys out of the matrix. I keep saying it's triage. That's why, because you're challenging those ego invested beliefs. They can't stand it because it means they've been living their life the wrong way. If you're right, if you are actually right about how men and women really are, and if you look about how it is in whatever evolution, then of course what they want to do is they want to attack like the details, right? Well, that's evolutionary psychology. Or was that peer reviewed by 9 different peer reviewers, and was it independently studied? And was it who funded that study and what university did it go to? And the fact of the matter is that even the question is a challenge to the belief, even if it's bullshit. Even if I just say, hey, like microchimerism, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I understand why people want to beat themselves up with, well, she has sex with microchimerism is if the woman has sex with like random guys some way, somehow, I don't know, because I'm not a microbiologist, but some way, somehow that woman retains the DNA of her past lovers. And therefore, when you reproduce with her, that baby, it might be your baby, but it's still going to have like features and some of the DNA from like the 3 guys that she had a gangbang with in college or something like that. Okay. I know I'm being facetious. I understand what microchimerism, but when I see stuff like that, even if that's like nonsense, people will still be a ego invested challenge, or it will challenge an ego investment. So even if it's false, it will just asking the question, hey, what if this was true? That what if that still challenges those beliefs. And that's why guys are like, that's never true. That wouldn't be true. How dare you even ask the question? Why are you asking the question? Is it because you're insecure? Because you have a fragile male ego? Let me think about the other half a dozen, maybe 24 tropes that the women's studies teachers taught me to say. And even if they weren't, then they're people who were taught by women's studies teachers who taught me to say it. So that's why they defend themselves. That's why it's tooth and nail. That's why you will lose friends. You will definitely lose friends if you go red pill. If you change the way you think about, and Ed decided to come in and join me today. If you change the way you think about yourself, people expect you to be predictable, and part of that predictability helps them reinforce their ego investments, like that. So if you're acting according to what they think your type is or what they think your personality or identity is, that is usually that's a reinforcement of their belief set. I'll get to the prodigal son here in just a second, because I know I've seen some people talking about Roosh in the chat, and I'll get to the prodigal son here in just a moment. But so I think it's important to understand what an ego investment is, because when you're having difficulty unplugging guys, or you want to help save them, right? You want to pull them out of the pit of misery, right? I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Guys will tell me that they want to give my book or maybe preventive medicine to their sons. And they ask me, what's the age that they should get? I'm like, is he a reader? Is he 15 years old? Is he a reader? I don't know. Hopefully before they make bad decisions for themselves. Hopefully before they've impregnated some girl. And like, remember when I did that show on Jay Cook? Jay Cook is a prime, glaring, glowing example of a guy who, even in spite of getting raked over the coals, even in spite, because I have new information, thank you, internet, even in spite of all that, still wants to be involved in his daughter, not his daughter, it was somebody else's, because she was, the girlfriend was trying to trick him, like birth fraud, literally the definition of birth fraud. And the guy wants to be a good guy and still be like the girl's dad. And girls online are going, yeah, you're so great. Go ahead, give up any claim to your paternity and teach other guys to do the same thing, if that's the right thing to do. And you know why? If I were to go to Jay Cook and say, here's why what you're doing is absolute lunacy. Here, read this book. He would fight me tooth and nail, because his belief set is such that it is an invested part of him. How do I know that that is invested. He has an ego investment in sort of being like the savior schema, an ego investment in debasing his own importance of his own paternity. It's right there. Proof's in the pudding. Look at your behavior. Look what you're doing. Look at what you're thinking that's motivating you to do what you're doing. And if I say that, it's not an attack on the actual action or the thoughts. It's an attack on the person. He would say, "Oh, screw you, man," or "You guys are just haters." No, we're trying to help you, but you won't listen, and you have to fall flat on your face, and you have to have your life ruined for you before you'll learn that lesson. And that's just the way it's going to be, because people will cling to their ego investments to the grave. In some cases, people will cling to whatever it is and fight you and think that they're doing the right thing because that's what they're attached to, even despite like empirical evidence that contradicts it, completely. Let's see. What did you say, Jimmy? Jimmy. The red pill helped me understand all the random thoughts I used to have, and like a math problem, pulled it all together from random to an equation to an actual solution. Good for you. Now my eyes are understand what they see. Thank you. You are welcome. See, sometimes you can change your mind about yourself. Sometimes you can change your beliefs. Thought Terminator. Really? What are some fundamental ways to improve? Can you be a little more vague about that? I'm 24. I'm struggling with sometimes codependency because I was raised in a controlling, spoon-fed immigrant family. Father beta, been dismissive, and mom held the frame in the family. Well, guess what? You're already down the right path, Thought Terminator, because you understand what your mom's about and your dad's about. I think the best place to start, and I don't mean to be dismissive here because I need to move on to I've got a list of things I still need to get to. But I think that what you have to do is you have to look at who your mom and your dad really are, and what has been sort of bashed into your head and into your psyche and into like your unconscious, really. Like why do you have the beliefs you do? And then realize from a red pill perspective what your dad's about and what your mom's about. And that's rough, man. I really need to dedicate, thank you for that tweet or that super chat, but I really need to dedicate a full show as to how the red pill changes your family and your relationships with your family. My mom just turned 81 on Wednesday. Yeah. And she's in rough shape. I'm not going to lie. She's 81. She's in the hospital right now. I might have to go see her tomorrow, but I know who she is. I've known who my mom is for a while. And I mean that in the sense that like, I know who she is as a woman, as a person, and what her history is as she gets towards the end of her life. I would have said the same thing about my father. My father died back in 2010. And 2010. And if I had to sum my dad up, one of these days I'll talk about my dad, but I hate talking about family because it sounds like Freudian, or it sounds like, oh, let's go sit on the couch and tell me about your childhood. No, there's no need. I know what they're about, and I know who they were as like people. My dad was a very frustrated kind of Delta male guy who did what he was supposed to do for a long time and played by a set of rules, a belief set, that if he did certain things that he would be rewarded. It would be reciprocal. You do the right thing. You do these things. You be a stand-up guy. You be a loyal, dependable guy, and you go to college. You get a degree. You get a good job. You make management. Maybe you get up to vice president, and then they give you a pension, and then you retire in Florida and play golf, and then you die. Like that was the old school way of it. You only have one job, right? Your one income is all it takes. Like that was in a very brief period of time, that was maybe the truth. Today, that's absolutely a complete falsehood, but we still cling to those old order ways of thinking. So I know who my parents are. I know who my dad is. I know who my mom is. How I was a product of that. I have no clue, but I know who they are as people. And according to really what my red pill awareness tells me about, human nature and women's nature and men's nature. And that's tough for a lot of guys because we want to have this, you were just saying, a spoon-fed reality to you. That is not just your parents. That's like everything, man. That is everything. And so we go back to that. We want to cling. We want to go back to those things. Let me keep going here just a little bit. I've got some other ones. I know I've missed a bunch. And you guys are really hot with the super chats today. Thank you very, very much. And I see John is in there. Oh, and then from Bulldog Mindset, the more you suffer, the more it shows you really care, right? Yeah, that's yeah, that's from The Offspring. I used to think that. What's funny is I used to think that was that song like was a bad song back in the day, because I was actually, it's funny, when that came out, I was with my BPD girlfriend at that time. And I guess the message kind of got through to me, but I didn't want it to get through to me because it was challenging something I believed in. Because I used to think that you were supposed to do that. You're supposed to suffer. A lot of religions will teach you that. The more you suffer, the better off you are. The more, the more blessed you'll be. Blessed are the meek, right? Whatever. The more you're suffering, don't build up treasures for yourself in this life because you'll have treasures in heaven, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, but in the meantime, you have a pretty shitty life. And you're not doing anything, you do yourself any favors by beating yourself up over things. But it's like, dude, so the guys get challenged with this idea that they either change their beliefs about something or they defend themselves. And that's tough. The only time guys really ever change their beliefs about themselves is when they're in trauma, when they're in trouble, when they're in jail, when somebody dies, when they have to stop and actually have some kind of insight. I think men tend to have more insight than women. And I think that that's a gender. I realize that sounds really super sexist, but I honestly believe that because women have an innate sense of solipsism. Everything is, they're basically the star in the movie of their life, and everything that's outside of them is just a player in that show. And they don't have the insight to sort of think about, like, where am I going? What have I done? Because it's not within, I would say that you could teach a woman to do that. I don't think it's an innate proclivity. I don't think it's something that women come to naturally. They have to be taught that. It has to be trained in women. For guys, yeah, probably needs to be trained as well. Insight, like really thinking about things in an honest, take an honest assessment of yourself as a guy. I think it's more so for guys because men have to experience rejection more than women do. Way, way, way more than women do, because men men have a burden of performance. So to be a man, to be respectable, to have status, to be at least somewhere on the dominance hierarchy or the competence hierarchy, you have to accept the fact that you are going to get kicked in the teeth until you can become better, until you get to a commitment to excellence, like I was saying yesterday. Man, you guys are killing it today with these things. Let me move on a little bit more here, guys. What did you say, Kim? How do you help black pillars when the tough approach looks like abuse? Yeah. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, they need to feel safe first. The masculine needs to be moderated slowly. Well, that's because they've been taught for a very long time that anything that resembles masculinity in some way is they can't separate it from abuse. They can't separate it from bullying. They can't separate it from hazing because they live in a feminized world. They live in a feminized social order that has taught them that anything like any kind of roughhousing, it's like your mom. Did you ever, I don't know if your mom did this or not, but like some mother, I've seen mothers do this all the time, is they will say, well, you stop roughhousing, you shouldn't, and then there's usually the father that steps up and says, they're boys. Let the boys be boys, right? Even that word, let boys be boys. Boys will be boys. You'll see that is the most offensive thing in the world to today's single mommies and today's feminists. They want boys to be good humans because they're not good humans. They're boys. So we've got to train them to be humans, good humans, not good boys. We need them to be good humans. I have a post called Good Humans where I talk about this because we think of boys and men as a default as being bad. To be a man is to be bad, is to be imperfect. You have to build yourself. And maybe that comes back to the burden of performance, right? We need guys to be better guys. We need men to be better men. The society is going to go to hell. Yeah, I think so. I would agree, but I think they're right for the wrong reason. I think that they to be a better man in, like, say, the village terms, in modern, gynocentric social order terms, is to be more feminine. To be a better man is to express yourself emotionally and to be in touch with your feminine side and to be an equal partner and all the crap that was it Sheryl Sandberg thinks. Oh, this is the ideal guy, is the guy that's not the guy that she's having hot sex in the foam cannon party with at 23. It's the guy who wants to be an equal partner and appreciates opinionated women. That's literally, those are the words out of her mouth. That's a better guy. And every woman's ideal guy is the guy who solves her problems at that moment. Like the problems that she has going on. Don't think long-term. It's just, I need a guy who's going to solve my problems at this moment. That's it. Because we teach women to be like strong, independent women. Yeah. Well, independent from what? Independent from men until they need a man. And then suddenly they're still independent, but we don't need you. We want you. No, we need each other. I need you. You need me. Men and women are better together than we are apart. Simple as that. That's the way we evolved, and we do ourselves no favors in, denying that or not seeing the differences anyways. What did you say, Alpha? The last shall be first, just the show, right? Okay. Chase, did I get to you? I read the rational analyst, had to put down plenty of. Oh, I already got to you. Okay. Why did you double him up? I got to him already. Turk. Sorry, Turk. Did I get to you? I did not get to Turk. Sorry. Turk, you had something that was on topic and I wanted to get to it. So I got to that one. Sorry. I can't put you on screen because I missed you. Turk says, unsure if I was lucky or just less aware, but in the back of my mind, there was something wrong with the current social contract between the sexes. Avoided marriage and built a successful life, but now I am unsure what to do. Yeah, well, and the reason you are is because you bought into the idea of the same, really kind of like the masculine side of the strong, independent man. I don't need no woman until you need one. Until you would like one, right? Until, like I said, MGTOWs always say, well, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You're right, but you still want the juice. Some way, whether it's with a doll or jerking off or an escort or whatever, you still want that. You still want to have sex. You still want to have some sort of biological, you want to have some kind of connection. You want to have some sort of, for all the things about incels, man, incels want connection. I think that's probably the easiest way to say that. And the reason for that is because I think on some root level, it's not about, like, for them, they say anyways, it's not about the sex. It's about the desire, the genuine desire, finding a woman who actually genuinely desires to have them in their lives. And that's the problem. By order of degree, that's the problem. Mainly, women desire to be part of a man's life who is in the top 20% of guys. Not the 80%. They can do that themselves. Why would they? Who cares? Well, they don't want you. They don't need you. I got into it with a guy on Twitter not too long ago today, about how this woman was talking about how she expects if I make my own money and I've got my own career and I have my own house and I own my own car and I've paid off my bills and I'm financial, I'm the strong, independent woman ideal. How come I can expect a man to do the same thing or want that? How come I can't expect a man to do the same thing? Or how can I expect a man, or how can I not want a man who has that same level, right? Equal partnership, right? That's where the mistake is it's egalitarianism. So what guy wants that? What guy would ever want that? You don't need me. So what the hell am I doing here? I want to go with somebody who actually has some desire for me, who wants to do nice things for me, who will go against the feminine prime directive, which is never do anything for the pleasure of a man. And why would they? Because they've got everything set. And then I got a guy saying, well, you think it's a power dynamic, right? It's about need. No, it's not about need. It's actually about like autonomy. Like it's just simple practice. I'm not saying, don't read too much psychology into it. This is not that some Oedipus complex or you're so insecure, you need a woman to need you. No, most guys do. I want to be needed. I want to be useful. I want to have some sort of purpose, right? It's good to have, men must become, right? That's what we do. We solve problems. We're innate, deductive problem solvers. And when a woman says, I don't need no man, I guess I'll move on to the one that does. It just seems to make pragmatic sense. Not about like, oh, you have fragile ego. You and a woman who needs you. No, I'm just, it seems like symbiosis, right? If I'm independent and you're independent, what use do we have for each other besides banging, maybe? And who cares, right? At that point, it would be better to have a woman who's like really into me, wants to claw my clothes off because she needs me, wants me and needs me, that has that genuine desire anyways. So when women are very proud and stuck up and hubristic about, I don't need no man. Okay, well, who would ever date you? If that's where you're at, who cares? Like, remember Tommy Lerner? It'll be a cold day in hell when I chase after a man. Right. Well, good luck. Because men want a guy, generally, men want to get with women who want them, who need them, right? Who have some kind of attraction and desire for them. But if you're so independent that you don't need no man and you won't chase, you know who you're going to get? The kind of guy who will chase. The kind of guy who will chase you. The kind of guy who has nothing else going. The kind of guy who has a scarcity mentality. That's the guy. Not the guy you want. It seems like a game of chicken, right? What was that in, Boondock Saints? Remember when the kids are like, they got the guns at each other's head, like, and they look at each other and like each one has a gun and like, you know, they're pointing the gun at each other. That's dating. That's dating. That's intersexual dynamics in 2020. It's a gun at each other's heads. I don't need you. I don't need you either. You know, that's 2020. That's the dating. I got to find the gif of that. I'm sure it's around somewhere, but that's how it works. Apparently, at least from what I can glean from Twitter. What did you say? Terminator. By improvement, I mean to increase my sexual market value and fundamental skills needing in being a man. I'm new to the red pill journey. Here's where you start. Get in the gym. How do I increase my sexual market value? Lose weight. I got a great program for you. It won't cost you a dime. It'll cost you $5 because you just gave me a thing. Here's your program. See that treadmill? Run on it until you're thin. That's your program. Go. What else do I have here? Anybody else? Did I miss somebody? I don't think I did. I'm seeing some other one. I want to continue on here really quickly because I will get to the rest of these later on, but I need to right now. I got to talk about like old order thinking versus new order thinking, because when I see guys insert superstition into the red pill, this is sort of like that purple pill thing. I should probably do a purple pill episode. I don't think I've done one. A purple pill is this. And people think that when I use the term purple pill, I'm like in some way like saying, hey, you're a cuck, right? That's what they think. Like, well, Rollo just calls everybody purple pill and he just dismisses them and says, fuck you, man, I'm out. No, that's not what I say. Purple pill is actually a designation. It's a designation. And here's the definition of a purple pill guy. It is the guy who is red pill aware. He knows the red pill. He has read my book, or he's been in some way, let's just say, red pill enlightened, right? He's been on the right forums. He was in the red pill subreddit. He watches the videos, whatever. He's sort of gotten into, I'm new to this red pill stuff. That guy, that's the guy that still clings to, he's crossed over, right? He's unplugged. He's kind of like Cypher almost, right? He's unplugged, but he wants to go back to being plugged in. Or he wants to, in some way, take all of the cool things. Imagine this. Imagine you're in the movie The Matrix. And you get unplugged, but your desire is to get plugged back in, not to live in the blue pill paradigm, right? In the Matrix, but to grab all the cool stuff that you had as a result of living in the Matrix. Like, let's say you're in the Matrix and you have a cool car and you were told in the Matrix says that I could get a wife if I'm nice and I play by the rules and I do these things, I'll get a wife. How can I drag that into the red pill? How can I drag that into Zion, right? How can I drag that into the real world? You can't, because it's based on bullshit. It's based on a fallacy. It's based on a fantasy. It's based on a world that doesn't exist, or did, but it existed in your mind. So you can't go back, and you can't take the things from your old blue pill paradigm into your red pill paradigm, because the goals and the things, I mean, very nice. I mean, we still have basic things, right? We want to have human connection and everything, but the way we get them and what we understand how we go get them is completely different. Completely different. In fact, most of the goals that you have as a result of your blue pill conditioning that you thought were going to be great, because you're not an idealistic guy, right? I want a house, a nice house in the suburbs, and I want a nice minivan, and I want 2 kids and a white picket fence and a golden retriever sitting in the yard waiting for me when I come home with my briefcase, right? How do I get that? Red pill comes along and goes, completely destroys that. And then you go, okay, well, God, what do I do now? So I can either have the imagination and the foresight and everything else to live a better life in that paradigm, or You can do what purple pill guys do. You can go back and say, well, yeah, those red pill guys are right, but they're really angry. And it's okay. You can still have your chakras aligned, and you can still have all these, the things that the blue pill told you. You can still have those. You just got to bring them in. You can get them by using red pill techniques. That's why I wrote Dream Girls and Children with Dynamite. Because what happens is you will want those dream girls. You'll want the one. I hear sons of bitches. I hear purple pill coaches all the time. It's okay. It's good to have a soulmate. You got to have a soulmate. Soulmates are real. She should be your one. I'll teach you how to get your one. Here, here's my, I'll sell you 8 counseling sessions for $1,400 and we'll find your one. Even eHarmony. When eHarmony first came out, that's the first thing they said. The first thing out of there, the first marketing advertised, the bylines were, we'll help you find your soulmate. That guy, remember that annoying son of a bitch with the white hair? And he was like, I think he was like in like Focus on the Family, or I think they were like maybe related or something, some like evangelical group, I think. But eHarmony was, hi, we're going to help you find your soulmate. Like that was the selling point. So that's like, imagine your red pill. And then somebody says, dude, I know it's depressing. I know it's hard. And it's hard to accept. There's a lot of tough things. You have to let go of all that kind of stuff, but you don't have to let go of the soulmate. You can still have the soulmate. You just have to use red pill stuff to get the soulmate. No, the soulmate is bullshit. It's in that fantasy world. It's still stuck in the matrix that you can't get out because it never existed in the first place. All that nonsense, that's gone. You have to learn to live again. You must learn to live again. You have to find a different way. You've got to create your own life. That's why, you guys, this is why I keep saying I don't give prescriptions, because what you build is not what I build. It's not what Joe builds. It's not what John builds. It's not what these other guys are building. You have the tools. You have the data set. You have accurate information, actionable information. Here's your tools. Like, it's like me. I'm giving you all this lumber. I'm giving you nails. I'm giving you a hammer. I'm giving you a saw. I'm giving you a crane. I'm giving you whatever. Build me a freaking house. That's what you're doing. You don't know what to do. And it's hard, man. That's why guys get stuck in the black pill, because they have all this material that's in their hands. I'm supposed to build what? Like here's the foundation, but I don't know how to put scaffolding up. They don't know. Nobody there to really sort of shove them in the right direction. I don't give prescription. I'll give you suggestions. I can give you I could probably write a book that would, give you some ideas of what to do, but what you do is not going to, there's no 12 steps, man. There's no 6 step. God forbid there's 6 steps. There's no 12 steps for life, man. There's no freaking formula there's no pat standard template for success. And what your success is not going to look like anybody else's success. So if you go, and, oh, wait, that was too good. Hold on. Wait, what did you say? This is nice and really flowery, but let's, so it's a future version of yourself. Worship him like God. He tells you what to do. Yes. Well, I'll tell you what's funny. And I wrote this down. God, I don't want to get in. I'm not going to get into, I'm not going to sermonize today. I promised myself I wouldn't sermonize. You got me monologuing. So I see a lot of these guys still clinging to not only old order belief sets, but old order thinking. So when I see purple pill guys, the best example is this. I've got an essay, and I don't think I put it in any of my books, but it's called The Script. And the script is this: it really kind of follows women's innate mating strategy, which is the Beauty and the Beast mating strategy. Find the alpha, tame him, make him the good prince, right? So if Beast is the alpha, like just lusty, like hot monkey sex guy that she wants to, like hot guy on the phone kind of party, right? That's who she wants to bang, but she can't live with that guy because she has to tame that guy, because if she doesn't, that guy goes and bangs other girls and he's a loss on investment. Maybe it was fun to bang, but in the long run, what purpose does he serve? Maybe kids, I don't know. But she wants to turn him into the prince. She wants to help him be the better man. And that is a constant theme in humanity and human storytelling. human relationships. You can go back to Shakespeare. You can go back to Ovid. You can go and find stuff in feudal Japan where you will see that same narrative played out, where it's the beast and he turns into the prince. And because of the unique characteristics of the one woman who could only do it, only Belle could do it, or like Tarzan. It's the same story as Tarzan and Jane, right? Tarzan is just raised in the jungle. He's raised by monkeys, and he's just like and he can, he's king of the jungle, right? Tarzan, king of the jungle. He's got a freaking leopard or whatever it is. That's my pet. A woman comes in and goes, oh man, I really want to get with that guy. She bangs him like 7 days a Tuesday, but she has to go back to civilization, and she has to take him and civilize the savage beast, the savage man. Problem is in doing so, she turns Superman into Clark Kent. And that's really the basis of that essay that I wrote called The Script. Because what happens is guys fall into that and they go along with it. They think they see that. It's easy because it's an archetypal story. They see that and they go, that's the way to solve my reproductive problem. That's the way to get laid. I'll be an incorrigible frat boy until I get with, like, this is the Tucker Max story, right? I'll be incorrigible frat boy and have a blog or a video or whatever about my sexual escapades while I'm 20 till I'm 30, or I don't know how old he is. And then I'll knock some girl up. She'll tame me. And that's the script, right? She'll tame me. And now I will be a responsible adult because I was Tarzan and now I'm Tucker Max, the purple pill schmuck, right? Because he goes from, I hope they serve beer in hell, to, mate, right? And he still has to reinvent himself. But now he can't go and do his sexual escapades. He has to say, okay, guys, this is how you settle down. This is how you be a real man. That's the script. The script is going from being Tarzan or being Superman to being Clark Kent. But thinking that Clark Kent is in some way better than Superman, or justifying it for yourself, virtuously saying that this is the way it works. And that's basically the story of Purple Pill. The Purple Pill is the script, it's that same script. It's, what I was doing wasn't working before, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I came over, now I've sort of dealt with the nihilism and the despondency that comes from the red pill, but I can't deal with, like, there's certain parts, it's what I call pick and pull red pill. Like, there's parts of it that people really embrace and they love because it fits in with their religion. It fits in with their superstitions. It fits in with their freaking chakras or their, baking their bungholes. It fits in with their ideal of whatever they built a business on up to that point. And that's another thing, is a lot of this superstitious stuff is getting mixed into the hustle economy right now. And so it's easier to sell somebody on the red pill if you say, you can have the red pill and you can have the blue pill. You can have the best of the blue pill with this, what we think is approvable with the red pill. And that's why you see, like, Christians and religious guys, they have, for the most part, and I'm going to pick on Christianity for a little bit, but it's not just Christianity, because I know it's also in Islam and it's also in other religions as well, or even just sort of these shamanistic religions. And I know I'm using that wrong, but in sort of this woo-woo, earthy, let's get back to basics. Let's do yoga. Let's have a drum circle. Let's what is it? Positivity thinking too is a good one. Like the law of attraction. No, man, it's real. MBTI, it's real. You can have red pill and MBTI. You can have red pill and motivational stuff. You can have MBT, or you can have red pill and but the real red pill is ayahuasca. All you got to do is just trip out in the Amazon rainforest, man. And you can just have all that great stuff in the blue pill was teaching about, but you're still red pill. So you really, the problem is you're like living in this, like I said, purple pill world. It's not that I think you're a dork because I called you purple pill. I'm just saying you're living thinking that you can drag stuff out of the blue pill matrix into your red pill reality, when the blue pill stuff that you thought was real is actually not real. And it's been there to really sort of trip you up for most of your life. You know who's really learning that the hard way? Guys who are 70 years old and they wake up. Guys who are awakened while married. Guys who've already made more than half of their life has been spent according to the bad data of the blue pill. So how do you move out of that? Well, I'm always advocating for like this. There needs to be a complete transfer. You need to understand that there's more opportunity, there's more prospect, there's more hope. I wrote this is in book, I think it was in book 2. A New Hope was the last chapter in preventive medicine, and I wrote that because too many guys got nihilistic. Guys, I'm in the anger phase. Well, that's nothing. The anger phase, enjoy that phase, because you're going to get to the nihilism phase or the despondency phase, and that's tougher than the anger phase. For some guys, they don't ever get past that phase of waking up. Remember, again, in the Matrix, remember when Neo does the jump? And like, what if he makes it? What if he does it? What if he does it on the first try? Nobody does it on their first try, man. Everybody falls flat on their first jump. Just keep that in mind. Use that as your sort of personal metaphor, I guess, if you're struggling right now. But the despondency and everything else, if you want to get past that, if you want to cross the abyss, understand that there's more hope on the other side of the abyss than there is back on the blue pill side. That's what makes me so disgusted. If I'm disgusted with purple pill, it's the fact that they think that they can go back to sort of like the false hope that was given to them for so long that they've been emancipated from. It's like you've got so much more things going for you here in the red pill paradigm than you did when you were still stuck. Finally, the last thing I want to say is you got to be careful of going backwards. You got to be careful of like trying to rekindle the things that you thought you could get, or you see the red pill as a means to those goals and the dreams and the hopes and stuff that the blue pill fed you. Again, I'll stop this little segment here with this, which is again in the Matrix. Remember when the first time that Neo goes back into the Matrix with Trinity, and they're in the car and they're going to see the Oracle, right? That's the first time he went, once he got reconditioned, and he went back into the Matrix to go talk to the Oracle. And they're riding in that fucking badass Lincoln Continental, man, with the suicide doors. And they're driving around, and Neo's looking at like stuff along the way as they're driving. He goes, "Oh, I know that place. They had good noodles there." And then he stops for a minute and he goes, "I have all these memories of things that that he liked, right? I have all these memories of things that never really happened, that were never really real." And he's trying to sort it out for himself. And he's looking at Trinity. He says, "What does that mean?" And Trinity says, "What it means is that the Matrix can't tell you who you are anymore." And that's, if there's a more profound scene in that movie, I don't know what is, but that's the essence of the red pill. The blue pill can't tell you who you are anymore. The village can't tell you who you are anymore, right? Unless you allow it, unless you want to go and, plug yourself back in like Cypher, right? On this side of it, there's more hope on this side. You get to be who you really are on this side, because you have accurate information, because you have with the red pill lens, you have things that you're living in a different way. You're going your own way. So I don't know. I thought that was good. So when that information, when that data set conflicts with ego invested beliefs, that's when people want to find ways to force. So there's going back, right? Going back to like the purple pill is really trying to go and fetch things from the blue pill paradigm and bring it over into the red pill paradigm when that stuff was false. The other thing that guys do, and this is what I see happening right now, is that you'll get guys who want to still cling to their ego invested beliefs, whether they're valid or they're not, whatever, but they want to find ways to force fit what the red pill has shown them into those belief sets. So that's how you get like red pill Christians. That's how you get red pill Muslims. That's how you get red pill Krishnas. I don't know, whatever else there is. You get guys who want to tell you about energy and vibes and shit like that, right? Just magical, woo-woo magical thinking, because it's the only way they can explain away the information that is really challenging to their belief set. Well, I believe harder. Just believe harder. Pray harder, and the red pill will go away. It's like when you find dinosaur bones. Just keep praying. That's not really dinosaur bones. No, they're dinosaurs. Here we have empirical evidence. Here's something that was here before all of this. I'm not saying your belief is completely nonsense. I'm just saying, how do you what do you do with this? What do you do with this new information? And a lot of people will revert back even more so. I forget who was saying it. We had one guy who was in the chat here, gave me the super chat, says we're reverting back to tribalism. Yeah, we are. Because right now, a lot of people are giving up on religion altogether, or they're trying to force fit, like cram this new set of beliefs, whether it's false or it's true, into a new religion for themselves, into a new belief set, let's just say. So most guys don't have anything to do with church, but they're still like, I'm spiritual, but not religious. No, you still have the belief set. You just want to force fit it into what this new age, this new world is showing you, like the new order, as opposed to the old order. Your beliefs were developed in the old order, and they're being challenged by the data of the new order. We have that because we've got the internet, we've got access to information we've never had before. People got really, really pissed off, and I've been picking on religion for a while, but let me pick on Carl Jung for a minute. When I listen to Jordan Peterson and he taught, damn near every speech, it's Carl Jung, Carl Jung, Carl Jung. Carl Jung is the messiah to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson would like to be the next Carl Jung, or whatever, the approximation, let's just say, of Carl Jung. He would like to be remembered that way. And Carl Jung, to me, is kind of hippy-dippy bullshit, to be honest with you. And I'm just to put that out there. I've done a whole episode on that. I've listened to God Sod give his opinion of Carl Jung as well. And I pretty much share the same thing or the same appreciation, estimation, let's say, of Carl Jung. But one thing about Carl Jung is that there's a reason why he is sort of like the messiah for kind of hipster religion or hipster psychology. And it's because that a lot of his stuff, a lot of the things that he came up with, anima and animus, and a lot of the more metaphysical kind of stuff really resonates with guys who they don't necessarily want to be religious, although religion has taken a lot, even mainstream religion has taken a lot from him. But it's because they don't want to, there's still that part that wants to believe, right? There's still that part that of human nature. I think that humans have some sort of innate ability to have some sort of belief or some sort of faith or some sort of hope. And I'm not saying that it's some woo-woo magical thing. I'm just saying that there's a part of us that needs that so that we can survive, so that we can keep going. And that part of what Jung talks about is really appealing to that sort of mystical mindset or that mystical side of things. It's the wonderment side, especially for men, because men tend to be idealists. We're largely, I would say, our nature is idealism. We want to know how we can affect our will on the world. And so we need to make sense of our world. And when we can't, we rely on Brazilian power crystals, right? Or tarot cards, or, astrology, or whatever sounds sciencey, but it's bullshit. But metaphorically speaking, it might be helpful. I talked about this yesterday, and I get into this in book 4 as well, is that there's a concept, it's not my concept, I think it was Brett Weinstein came up with it. It was called metaphorical truth. Metaphorical truth is I gave this example yesterday. It's like an example of metaphorical truth is all snakes are poisonous, therefore stay away from all snakes. Well, metaphorically speaking, that's a good practice. You should behave as if they are all poisonous. Don't pick up that snake. Don't get it near the crib. It'll kill the baby, whether it's a garter snake or it's a, black mamba, or a water moccasin is irrelevant. It's a snake. Kill it. I don't care. Get the shovel. Behave as if it's venomous, because if you don't, highly likely it could kill somebody. So kill it. And after generation after generation after generation of human beings, that becomes part of our firmware. Oh, snake. Why are women afraid of snakes? Why are women afraid of, and we can say it's biblical, right? Because the serpent in the garden was a snake. Well, we anthropomorphize that. Watch out. Watch out for evil. We need to keep up our strength to fight evil. So what's evil? A snake. What's evil? A spider, right? Spiders can kill you too. Like, why do women hate spiders? Why do they hate spider or mouse? I don't know. Mouse is well, I guess maybe a mouse carries disease, right? So therefore you've got to be afraid of a mouse. There's a mosquito. Get away from it. Go get the honey. Go kill that bug. Why is it that the guy has to go kill the bug? So metaphorical truths. Now, is it actually true that all snakes are venomous? No. Well, of course, that's the objective truth. The metaphorical truth is that they're all it's better to behave as if they aren't. That they're all, or as if they are all poisonous. So, is it true? Yeah, it's true. It keeps you alive. It's true. Keeps a baby alive in the crib. It's true. So that's a concept I think that a lot of people, particularly the woo-woo magical thinkers who are like selling you vibes and ayahuasca and let's see what else, semen retention. It's not, semen retention goes from being this scientific, like, oh, it'll make you feel better and here's how you reabsorb it, or microchimerism, right? Or something like that. Or Wim Hof breathing. Oh, you hyperventilate and you feel a whole lot better, but you'll reach a different state of consciousness if you hyperventilate. Yeah, you will. You definitely will. Oh, I'm not saying there's nothing to it. I'm not saying that you can't walk across. I've seen people walk across hot coals. Put yourself in the right state of mind. I guess you can do that, but there's probably a mechanic to it. Okay. Semen retention is not magic. It's not like, ooh, I'm going to save my vital chi, or my vital essence so I can, it's not the force, man. It's not like you're not using Star Wars. Use the force, Luke. No. I think what's funny is I think that we can probably explain things right now that we used to think were mystical and magical, that are very easily explained right now. I mean, we used to the cavemen used to throw rocks at the moon. Like, make it go away. Oh, it's the moon. I guess it's not going away. We can gradually, and I use again, I'm going to give away this whole book. You be glad you're watching this because I'm going to give away the whole damn book. You won't even need to read the book by the time I get on. But, there's a quote by Robert Heinlein, who says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Now he was using that in terms of like robots and stuff like that. If somebody has something like, if I can go back, if I could go back to like 2,000 years ago and I had a disposable lighter, I could, here's the light. I look, fire. Oh, he can produce flame. He must be a demon or he must be a prophet, right? Well, it seems like it's magic, but I think what's funny now is as we get more technologically advanced and as we have more access to information, those kinds of things, we can explain certain things, some things we still are, working on. We can explain those things, but I don't think it takes away the magic from them very much. I think it's still like, a sense of awe. What gives us a sense of awe anymore? I don't really know. But when you dump your old set of beliefs, here's where I'm going with all this. When you dump your blue pill way of thinking about things, it tends to kill the magic, right? What do we say about, I can't enjoy listening to REO Speedwagon anymore. I can't listen. Who told me this? Or I can't listen to Spin Doctors. I can't listen to Hootie and the Blowfish anymore. I used to love those songs. Because it kills the magic. It kills, like, the reason why you love those songs is because you are dumb. You are dumb. I was too. But now we're not. Now we have eaten of the apple, right? We've eaten of the apple of knowledge, of good and evil, right? Of information. And everywhere along the way, and yes, this is in the book, everywhere along the way in human history, we eat another apple and it jumps us. Like when we learned fire, that was, okay, well, we can kill ourselves. The atomic weapons, right? That was an apple, right? We have the means for our own mutually assured destruction. The printing press, right? The Gutenberg printing, movable type. Now we're going to change Aldous Gutenberg. I think it was Aldous. When he created that, I'm sure he didn't say, I'm going to start a revolution. No, he's like, son of a bitch, I got to make more money. That's what they did with the internet too. Internet was an apple. It's a big apple. It's a big one because there's a lot of information that comes with that apple that fell off the tree of knowledge. Sexual revolution, the advent of hormonal birth control. That was an apple that fell off the tree, and we got to be ready to. We weren't, and we still aren't, and we're still trying to recover from the the fallout of that information, or what that invention, I should say, meant to humanity. That's an apple that fell off the tree. And same thing with the internet. Again, it's like fire. You can use it to warm your house and cook your food, or you can use it to burn people's house down and start riots, right? On false information. Social media. We keep running faster and faster and faster, and we, as human critters, can't keep up with what even our as advanced and as crazy good as we are. We can't keep up. It's hard. But so when you switch over from that blue pill way of thinking into your red pill way of thinking, when all of the pretty lies, as Royce used to say, when all the pretty lies die, and you're left alone by yourself, what are you going to rebuild? What are you going to make with that? And a lot of guys don't know what else to consider. They don't know what to do with themselves. They don't have the creativity. They don't have an imagination for it. They want to have it's like me taking you and expecting you to rebuild your own house after you were building a house back in the Matrix that turned out not to be real. It's hard to do. Or maybe you have become awakened while married, or awakened later on in life, and you're going, oh my God, I made all of these bad decisions based on bad data. Now I know how the game works. Now I know, thank God Rollo articulated it for me. I always knew it was true, but I didn't know, I couldn't put it into words. Well, now you can. What are you going to do? What are you going to build? And if you're despondent, and I'll end with this, if you're despondent and if you are nihilistic, if you're on the black pill and, oh my God, I got to do jaws exercise. If you're looks maxer, if you're feeling depressed as a result of this, it's only being exacerbated, I would say, by the isolation that we have, well, certainly now in this year, but like growing isolation that's happened really since, well, certainly in the last 10 years, but since we had the digital age, and everything that can be digital will become digital. So guys get depressed. When you want to know why men are killing themselves at 5 times the rate of women, it's because they're seeing the game and they don't like it. So like the guy who was 70 years old that I was counseling for a while, he's looking back on his life. He's all my relationship with my kids, my ex-wife, now soon to be ex-wife, is this way because of this and because I did this and I made these choices, and it was all based on what I thought was a rule set, an old social contract that I thought I was supposed to be abiding by because everyone else was. Well, they weren't. And you built up a life, I'm sorry, unfortunately, that is the result of that bad, faulty information. You made the best you could, right? And so they look back and they go, oh, it seems like it's invalidated. It's like your entire 70 years where you built a company, or you built a house, or you built whatever, the life that you built. I'm not saying some of it's not bad or some of it's not good. It's just that it was built on false pretenses. That's tough for guys to accept, particularly the older they get. You might get despondent. You might get nihilistic. You might get depressed. If that's you, at least at least you're out of that. At least you have the accurate information, and you can make the best of what you have of the rest of your life. I hope you live good, long lives, right? I don't want anybody to kill themselves. I don't know, there's certainly man or woman, but certainly not guys, because that's how you get zeroed out. Anthony Bourdain was living on top of the world until he had his belief set crushed. He thought Asia Argento was the one. He thought he was going to live happily. I finally found a girl I really connect with. And then he sees pictures of her in Italy with some 28-year-old dude. And that sucks, because you look at that and it's like, it's relational. I should probably do a show on relational equity. It's like building up equity in your own ego, or building up equity for yourself, thinking, but because you're playing by the rules, I'm doing what everybody said I should do. This is my duty. This is my law. This is my religion. This is my beliefs. This is my schooling. This is my parents. I did everything everybody told me to do. Okay, where's my life prize? Where's my trophies? And then somebody says, no, that's sorry. That's all disqualified. Hypergamy doesn't care, right? So what are you going to do? Well, you have I'll leave you with this. You have 2 choices. When you don't like yourself, or when you hate yourself, or when you don't like your life, you have if you're not going to kill yourself, you have 2 choices. You can sedate yourself, and you can numb yourself, or you can remake yourself. and make the best of things with what you have. Build a better life with what you have. And I will end it with this, is you have more hope in a red pill paradigm than you will ever have in a blue pill paradigm. And so sometimes that's hard. That's hard for people to accept, because they want to force fit what the red pill has to say, or what the information is, the questions that it asks, and they're trying to force fit it into a belief set that was fed to them, or was developed for them according to old order thinking. You have to think in terms of the new order right now. You have to think in terms of, how am I going to start something new? It's the Wild West, man. The board. I have that one thing I put on Twitter, but it's one of my Twitter ads. It's like, the board has been cleared, and in a big way. And I would say that coming up within the next 3 months with this election and everything else, all this social unrest that's going on right now, even if we could get back to a semblance of normal, the fact that we had to go through all this crap is not going to, it will be different. The board is cleared, and you have to decide what you're going to do with yourself with this new information. And you know what? You need to figure it out now, because if you don't figure it out, the next change that comes along, you're going to be that much further behind the curve. And there'll be something. There will be a technological advance. There'll be another apple that falls off the tree of knowledge that will change things up for us. And you need to be ready. You have to be agile. You have to be maneuverable. And you can't be planted in one place, unfortunately, right now. Now, finally, the last thing I'm going to say is this, is that old order thinking is something that I think hobbles us right now. We're on the cusp of something where we have to deal with the new, but we're still interpreting it through the way we think that was developed in the old way of thinking, in the old order thinking. And I'm not saying that there weren't good things in the old order. There's still some universal long-term truths that are going to be true no matter what. So I'm not saying it's all bullshit. Oh, all that old shit. I'm not saying abandon all that old crap. I'm just saying take what's good, take what works. But you have to reinterpret things. Like when I got into trouble, I say about trouble, but I was talking with Adam Krigler, or maybe I was on Twitter, and was it him, or maybe it was Tim. And I said, you know what, the idea of Republican and Democrat, or left and right, or conservative or liberal, or conservative or progressive, or whatever the hell they're calling leftist, whatever the hell they're calling it right now, those are old order ways of thinking. Elections, like we're having this election right now, we're struggling through this election because this is a 21st century. We're 20 years into the 21st century, and we're still treating elections like barn burners, right? Like we're going to get on a train and go from just coast to coast, like it's FDR. That's dead. That's gone. And so in a meta scale, that's the blue pill. That's the old stuff. What do we know? And I'm going to take it out of the realm of red pill for a moment here. What do we know about the media right now? We say, well, they're full of shit, right? I mean, we can see live in real time, and I'm not saying it's all accurate. I'm just saying we can see things live in real time as they happen on the ground in certain cities right now. And then you go on at 6 o'clock news, and it's like, oh, mostly peaceful What? I've been watching for the last 4 hours that this is Georgia's on fire. Portland has exploded. There's a big bomb blast in Beirut. What? No, mostly peaceful. It's all good. Okay, well, if they're lying about that and we can prove that they're full of crap, if we can prove bias, if we can prove all this stuff, we can say they're fake news. Okay, we can do that now in 2020. Well, actually, we could do it probably in 2010, but if we can do that now, and now we have access like never before, because everybody's got a cell phone, we're the media now, right? If they're doing that, what have they been doing prior to all this? What were they lying to us about back in 1995 or 1990 or 1985? Has it always been this way? Yes, it has. They're tricking you, or they'd like to. But again, remember what happened when the movable. Remember when the printing press came out? It changed the world. It changed. You know why it changed the world? Because it exposed the Catholic Church at that time. It started the Protestant Reformation at that time. Because it's like, here's the Bible. What do you mean what's all this crap they were talking about? This is not in the Bible. There are people, the lay person is now reading, and they want to get away from that. That's why Martin Luther knocks the articles that he knocked to the church door. This is articles of Protestantism. Screw you. We're gone. We're breaking away. We're protesting Protestants, right? As a result of what? Of a apple that fell from the tree, the printing press, the movable type. Aldous Gutenberg gave it to us. Changed the world. He didn't think it was, but it did. And we didn't probably, people who are getting into social media, Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey probably didn't think they were going to change the world. They just wanted a cool app that people are going to pay for and make a lot of money off of. Well, guess what? You fundamentally changed American society because we can now all talk to each other. Fundamentally changed the way we do elections. Fundamentally changed the way we communicate. Fundamentally changed the world because now we can get inside each other's heads to relatively. And we don't do those things anymore. We're still trying to cling to old ways of doing things in ways that are obsolete now, but we still think they should work. Like I don't care if you like Trump or you hate Trump, but he's a 20th century candidate. He's a 20th century president. Maybe he's got his shit together. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. He's a brand. He's a 20th century brand. So is Hillary Clinton. She was a 20th century brand. They're all like, I saw that video of Hillary Clinton. She was just like, just like Madge, like a Karen, like an old Karen. And Bill Clinton's just like, shut the fuck up, like in the background there. And she's just yammering on and just going on about Trump and, the guy that they didn't think was ever going to win. But I realized Trump is 20th century. And I'm 20th century. I'm not saying I'm any better, but I'm 20th century. I still think of things in terms of old order thinking. So does Hillary Clinton, definitely. And so does Bill Clinton. And so does every old ass politician that you know of in there. And even the young ones, even the young democratic socialist girls who are, AOC, right? She's still a 20th century thinker. She's still an old order thinker. She's just dragging things from the old order into the new order. Things are going to change very radically very soon. We're going to have to. We're right now at the breaking point, I think, from the old order and the new order, and we don't realize we are. Okay, I'm done. I'll shut up now. What did you say? Hello, Rollo. Love listening. Good. What about watching? Learning red pill teachings much needed for millennials, I guess, and next gen. Okay, good. Next gen. I like that. We should go with next gen. Gen Z, I think you'd probably be like next generation. We are the next, like Star Trek. Here and now reference earlier was termed temporal provincials. Look that up. First time I came across that was in a book called Timeline by Michael Crichton, who is now no longer with us, or hasn't been with us for a while. Really good writer though. He wrote Jurassic Park. Good, and wrote for 13th Warrior, which was called Eaters of the Dead, one of my favorite movies. But he used that term in that book, Timeline. I think there's even a movie about it. But temporal provincialism or temporal provincials are people who have sort of a contempt for learning history or don't care enough about history. When you see people pulling down statues or people who are, I don't want to say desecrating monuments, whatever, but that's temporal provincialism right now. Like they don't care what the history is. Like people were saying, I can remember when people were when these protesters were pulling down statues, and people go, "Don't they realize that George Washington did this, or this guy was actually an abolitionist, or this guy, or whatever?" They don't care. It doesn't matter. That's not why they're doing it. They're not doing it because they have a reason. It's not based on reason. You want to give it reason, but they're basing their decisions on emotions. That's why we live in the age of feels before reals. That's another dangerous place to be in the new order, by the way. And the reason why we are in an age of feels before reals is because of old order thinking. Because that's what a gynocentric social order since the sexual evolution has taught for generations. It's better to feel. It's better to think. Go with your heart, not your head. Don't think with your head. Think with your heart. Listen to your heart. Listen to those 80s power ballads. Express yourself, men. The reason why you're miserable is because you won't express yourself emotionally. I pity you. We're in a bad fucking place because of that. We're in a bad place for 50 plus years of that at being a priority. Sorry. What else is in here today? You're at the end of the show, so you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Oh, let's see. Chase, I talked to you. Alpha mailed, I got to you. Millennial Man, is that you? Memin Milan says, if you want to unplug a friend, should I show him one of your videos or your book? Okay, I talked to you about that. Give him the book first. I actually, did I answer that? I think I did. If you want, he's asking the right question, so I feel now is a good time. If you want to unplug a guy, you have to do it gradually. I think. I mean, unless the guy's going through trauma and then you really have to sort of act now kind of thing. Most guys are going to be resistant to it for the reasons I gave you earlier. You're going to be resistant to the red pill. I hate even using the term red pill because so many people use it and abuse it and misuse it so much now. It's a political thing. MSM, the mainstream media wants you to think it's a political thing. Religions want you to think, oh, my religion is the red pill. It's always been the red pill. Maybe parts of it certainly agree, but it's never always been the red pill. It's not about MRAs. It's not about MGTOW. It's not about the red pill is the Chilton manual for intersexual dynamics. There's no right, there's no wrong. It just is. It's the 48 laws of power of intersexual dynamics. Here's how it works. Oh, that's horrible and evil. Well, so are parts of the power. Right? So you can make a case. Remember when 48 Laws of Power came out and everybody says, oh, this is an evil book. Yeah, if you use it evilly, if you use those things, if you use it, if you go, oh, I better watch out because I know that law of power and that son of a bitch will use it against me. Well, good. Then it's good, right? Because it prevented you from getting abused and getting your ass kicked or getting exploited in some way. Same thing. It's not good. It's not evil. Hypergamy is evil. Yeah, if you're on the sharp end of it. If you're on the good end of it, it's freaking great. Right on. More. Give me some more of that hypergamy. It just, again, it just is what it is. I think people like when I see mainstream guys try to give me this really doofy, stupid, completely lethargic, explanation as to here's what those red pill guys are really about. Let me tell you, and they're writing for Vice or they're writing for some Christian blog or they're writing for some aggregate or conservative, maybe it's Lauren Chen or something. Then they want to just tell it. And it doesn't matter if it's like progressives. I get it. Like leftists are always going to say it's the end of the world. They're radicalizing these guys and they're turning them into alt-right killers on the street. No, we're not at all. I remember that son of a bitch, Jack Murphy. I had a 3-hour talk with that guy. And I'm looking at you right now. Yes. A 3-hour talk about, maybe the red pill is radicalizing these guys. You think of those kids in the street right now setting shit on fire? You honestly think that they're the result of the red pill? Fuck you. No, they're radicalized. All right. That had nothing to do with the red pill, but everybody's throwing rocks at me and giving shit to me. Oh, Rollo's leading us down the wrong path. Yeah. They're going to really radicalize and people are going to kill each other. Elliot Rogers, some, militant, psychotic incel. That guy is he's the poster boy for the red pill. Fuck you. Red pill has saved so many lives. You have no idea. No, and I'm not just saying about me. I mean, I've had people tell me this, of course, but even guys that I don't even know who are in different countries. Like I just did Macho Toxico on yesterday. Yeah. No, day before. No, Friday. I did Macho Toxico. If you haven't seen that, go look it up. Go look up Macho Toxico. On YouTube. I'll put the link. It's already in my Twitter, but you should go check it out. But Brazil, I didn't even know there was any red pill manosphere thing in Brazil until Friday. And guys are coming on saying, Rollo, your book saved my life. I'm here in Sao Paulo. Really? Yeah. I'm in Mumbai. I'm in wherever. It's not radicalizing. It's freeing people. It's liberating people. It's enlightening guys. And some, you're going to go through the despondency phases, but throw rocks at me all day long. But the fact of the matter is that, I'm doing what I'm doing and a lot of other guys are doing what they're doing for the right reasons. And guess what? It's working. And I'm sorry if sometimes the truth is bad for your business. For other people's hustle, for other people's grift, sometimes the truth is bad for that. If your grift is selling vibrations and energy and oh, we're going to have a positive, we're going to have the, oh man, God, I can't believe this just jumped into my head. Back in the 80s, I think it was like in 86, maybe 87, there was this thing called the harmonic convergence. And it happened in Santa Cruz, California, or maybe it was all over the place. I don't know. But it was supposed to be everybody's going to get together and we're all going to like chant. It was like this harmonic. We're all going to get together and save the world. And oh boy, we really saved the world. I guess, shoot the arrow and paint the target around it kind of thing. Harmonic convergence, right? If we all just align our chakras, if we all just, bake our rings, if we all do, I don't know, whatever. If we all get into this new age, like tribalism, this tribal spiritualism, you want to know why we're regressing to tribalism, or tribal shamanistic religions right now seem like more genuine? It's because we're too large a population right now. So what's happening is we're looking, I think, and this is sort of the end of book 4, is we're looking for ways to make an all is one religion. It's what Dr. Everett Piper, he didn't create this word, but he hipped me to this word. It's called syncretism. And it is the definition of an all is one. Like we're gonna it's love and it's tolerance. We're all gonna take your religion and Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Krishnas and Hinduism. We're gonna take all this stuff. We're gonna mix it all in this great big global world melting pot. And guess who gets to be in control of it? Women. They're the ones who are, we're going to call it love. And if you're against it, it's hate. Right? There has to be some sort of like amalgam. It has to be this kind of, mashed potatoes of, of religion. And it's called syncretism. There's actually a word for it. I didn't realize that until I did my homework and studies for this. That's complete BS. Yes, you're right. But it sounds good and it's organizing. Because religion has an organizing effect on societies. And how do you control a worldwide globalized society? Through information, to control the information. I keep calling it the village because can't think of anything better, but the village it's called the clerisy, right? It's how we sell people on ideas. Like what's a correct idea, what's not a correct idea. And right now you're seeing gynocentrism vying for supremacy in the thought space, in the global thought space right now. So everything has to be female correct. That's why the Dalai Lama wants a 200 nation coalition of countries all led by females, because that'll end war. Because nobody will want to hit each other. The men will just they'll just cut their dicks off, right? That'll erase testosterone overnight if we just had it. But that's the drive. I use this as an example too. It was back in 2017. There was the Beyonce interfaith worship service. It was at a Catholic church, I think, in San Francisco. And it was everybody was welcome. Even if you were an atheist, if you were a whatever, everybody get together. We're all just gonna get around and sing Beyonce songs or have whatever. I don't know what it was, but it was just like this. Everybody's welcome, and they had people waiting outside to get into that service. Church that was failing was people waiting outside to get into it, because that when I saw that, I go, that's the future right there. That's the future of religion, of organized religion, anyways. Organized religion will be based on a feminine dynamic. It already is, really. There's holdouts. Islam is certainly a holdout, but they're more sooner or later, Islam will fall. It will fall to a feminine imperative. Will fall to the women that are inside of it already. Even in the most patriarchal religions, the women that are inside there still have access to the internet. They're still part of this whole global social order. So gynocentrism is vying for the control, the thought space, a global thought space right now. Let's see what else we got here. I know that's going to upset you. You can do what you want right now, but religions are being assimilated. Thought Terminator said, by improvement, I meant, okay, I asked you that. Alpha Male, talk to you. Bean Sauce gave me £1 and then redacted his thing. That's too bad, Bean Sauce. You had a great name. Next Nexionis, I think that's how you say your name. Thank you for the $5, my friend. Hello, Rollo. Love listening, learning red pill teachings, much needed for millennials. Okay, I talked to you. Hola, my favorite guitarist. Thank you for your 50 Norwegian crinkles, whatever the K stands for. I know NO is Norwegian. What is that for? You know what? Oh my God. Hola. You know what's a really killer show on Netflix that I have been watching and I don't care that it's in subtitles is The Rain. It is shot in Norway, and it's kind of like a virus kind of outbreak thing, but the virus is like in the rain, and the rain, if you get water on you, you'll get the virus and you'll die. And it is amazing. I love looking at the scenery. If you have not seen, I cannot recommend this any higher. And it's fun. Okay. I only watch red pill stuff. No, it's just a fun show. It's really cool to watch, but it's, all of the characters speak Norwegian. I believe they're all in Norway, and cause they talk about Sweden and Finland and some other stuff too, but really good show. If that's your thing, but A+. James Rumble says, blue or red pill men happier? Your opinion. See many blue happy and reds act angry and crybabies. Good point. Who's happier? Well, I think happiness is sort of a subjective term, and you might think I'm dodging, but I'm not. Whenever I see statistics for happiness, like people who say that they're happy, happiness is always a self-reported feeling. So if my mom dies tomorrow and you say, "Are you happy with your life?" I'm going to go, "No, my mom died," right? But if I just, made a shit ton of money on something, or if I, just got laid, or if I just had sushi, I might say something different. But I think really more of it's contentment rather than happiness, because you can be discontent and be happy and discontent, and you can be content and then be very unhappy, but you've got everything you want. Yeah, you've ever wanted, right? You can be content. I would say this is that blue pill men who are happy or seem like maybe they made it work for them. I've said this before and I will repeat it one more time, is that Jordan Peterson is very much blue pill when it comes to his relationships, when it comes to his daughter and raising his kids, and when it comes to his wife. And I'm not attacking him. Okay. I don't think this is flaming him, but from what I've seen and what I've listened to and what I know about the guy, he's still very stuck in this one-itis thing that he's had since he was 7 years old for his wife. And it's worked for him. Right? For some guys, it actually does work. So there's the guy who goes, "Well, I met my high school sweetheart when I was 15, and then we both got out of college and we got together and we got married early and we had 2 babies and we have a golden retriever in the yard and a white picket fence and an SUV, and we live in the suburbs." Yeah, I'm sure it's worked for a lot of guys. But then there's going to be the guys who that works for, and they wonder why they're in a sexless marriage, or it worked for them. It worked great for me. And then they're sitting across the table from their wife for their divorce settlements, and now he hates her or she hates him. So happiness is kind of like a relative thing. I'm very happy in my relationship, my marriage. I'm red pill I think I'm red pill as well as I can be. Right. I know it kind of depends on the person and the individual. I think a lot of people think that of red pill as, particularly this generation of red pill, as being like discontent and angry and upset that things aren't going their way. And I've said this is if a guy is angry when he becomes red pill, it's usually not because he's angry at women, not because he hates women, but because he hates the fact that now he's aware that he has wasted his time. About all of the things that he thought were important are not important. The rule set that he thought he was playing by, nobody's playing by. And he built up a life. He put a lot of energy and investment and time and everything else into those blue pill ideals. That's why I call them blue pill ideals. And then he realizes, shit, I wasted a lot of time. It's like somebody says, paint me a picture of a bird, right? And you go, oh man, I'm gonna paint this bird, blah, 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 blah. You do a really good job of the bird, and you have it all, and you're looking at it, it looks great. And then somebody comes behind you and says, no, I said, paint me a picture of a cat. And you spent like the last 4 weeks painting this beautiful, lifelike, photographic picture of a bird. You're going to be kind of pissed that the actual thing that you were supposed to be doing, or the data that you were working by, was not the data that you should have been using. So it seems like wasted effort. Now, most guys are going to say, well, it's okay. I put a lot of energy and effort and time into it. Maybe there's probably some aspects of your blue pill life that have some sort of value to you. But by and large, once you get out of that, once you break yourself out of that cycle and you realize that those ideals are based on an old data set, on old order thinking, even if it's not total, part of you will think, man, that was a waste of time. Why did I do that? Shit, or it's easier if you have a shit life, it's easier to go, oh, I have a shit life because I was misled, or because those things, what I thought was important, or I thought was the way I should do things, wasn't really the way to do things. And you'll get pissed off and you get angry and despondent and everything else that you're saying, well, they look like they're angry and crybabies. Yeah, well, sometimes they are, because they don't know what to do with the information. The only reason guys get pissed off and they're crybabies about things is because they realize that what they thought before, they thought they had a chance, right? In the blue pill, guys, in a blue pill paradigm, and according to blue pill information, according to blue pill ideals, it doesn't matter what you look like. It's on the inside. Remember Friends? It's okay. We're all good friends. I don't care. You can look like the Elephant Man. It makes no difference. I'll still want to fuck you like a porn star, right? That's what's on the inside that I'm attracted to. Beauty and the Beast, right? She falls in love with the beast, not in love with the prince. But all of that stuff that you built a life on, like, oh, it's all about open communication. It's all about like, well, we've risen above that. We've evolved above those things. No, you haven't. I can prove it to you globally right now. Wouldn't even take me a half an hour to give you an example of how, new order, red pill aware information entirely destroys what your old belief sets were. I'm not doing that to be mean. I'm just doing it to say, here's what we're talking about. You'll think it's mean, but whatever. So it's always either crybabies or they're red pill angry ragers. Yeah, they are. Usually it's because they're angry at themselves for not figuring it out sooner, for investing in something that was a bad investment. You get pretty pissed off. You put a lot of money into crypto and suddenly, the $10,000 you put in is worth $4,000. Wait it out. Hodl, right? What else can you do? But you still feel pissed off, or, fuck this, I'm out. That's what they want you to do. M86 gave me 100 Norwegian crinkle fries. Vince C says, how does nihilism and hope coexist? Well, hope is something that you're going to have, I think, as I'm still kind of working this out. Again, I don't have all the answers here, but I think that hope is intimately attached to some part of our brain that is connected to like that idea of spirituality, or the wonder of the unknown, the need for an answer when there is no answer. It's like, so nihilism is one thing, hope is another thing. If you didn't have hope, if that wasn't part, I think, I'm not saying this is true, but I'm saying I think that there's probably, maybe we haven't discovered it yet, but I think there's a part of the human brain, or a section, an area, where we tend to be more optimistic. We tend to be more hopeful, or maybe if you stimulated it, you feel better, right? Remember, nihilism and hope are intimately related with emotion, right? So if you feel hopeful, what does that mean? If you feel nihilistic, what does that mean? You feel hopeless. Hopeful or hopeless? I mean, really, that's kind of like when nihilism is there's no hope and you're dead and you're done. Blah, blah. Nietzsche was right. Hope is the opposite of that. I think that once you get past the nihilism, that you can feel more hopeful. It just sort of depends on, how do you come to that? Go read New Hope on my essay list. You'll see what I'm talking about. I think that I think that we have that hope so we don't kill ourselves. I talked about this with the guys on Rule Zero. I've talked about this with Rich Cooper as well. As there's some theoretical study. I'm not saying this is true. Some study right now that the reason why we get depressed is actually a survival adaptation. Because, and here's how it goes. Again, this is me paraphrasing, but the theory is that the reason why we get depressed, or the reason why we back down, or the reason why we become cowards, the fight or flight thing, is because it is better to avoid conflict than it is to engage in conflict, because the people who engaged in conflict tended to die. So how can we discourage clearly suboptimal, like inferior, clearly inferior people? How can we encourage them from not challenging people who are superior and can kill them and will kill them? And I don't mean this in a human sense. Like if you look at this in primates or look at this in animals too, why do they back down? Why do they submit? Why do they roll over and show their belly? Why do they become vulnerable, right? Remember, we're encouraging vulnerability. It's your strength. No, it's not. It's vulnerability, and it's cowardice, and you are showing your belly because it's vulnerability is submission. Go look at I've got a whole episode on vulnerability. So the idea is that if you are depressed, you will be less likely to make foolish choices that will get you killed. So in some terms, cowardice is a survival instinct, right? Live to fight another day. Oh, you weren't brave. Yeah, but I'm alive. So from an evolutionary standpoint, I'm smarter than you. I didn't challenge the alpha male who was going to kill me if I did. And that's why you get like beta males who will form coalitions, because they're stronger together and they can challenge a rival by doing so. And what does the alpha male do? He bullies all the beta males so that they won't do that, so that he stays on top. And if you're all beta males and you're all depressed, less likely you are to try to challenge me. That's the evolutionary side of it. Hey, what is this? What? Is it true you decided to make the convention virtual so you could stand up Clary again? Yes, totally. God damn it. You guys found me out again. If you want to see me talk with you, okay, I'm gonna hold this. I have an announcement, but I'm gonna hold off until I finish the rest of these, because I got to get to all of these. Yes, you're totally right, Joe. Totally. Seattle Sideshow says, if men mystically forget every iron rule of Tomassi and could remember only one, which would you pick to tell all men, and why? So if you narrowed it down to one, frame. That's why I made it number one. Frame is everything. I would, and followed closely by number 3, which is anytime a woman makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait, because that's not about sex. That is about desire, genuine desire. But if I were to say only one, frame. That's why I made it the first one. James Rumble says blue or red men. Okay, I already did that one. I'm getting doubles of these. Gargly Molnar. What is an HUF? Where in the hell is that from? That's great. I don't know what I am learning everything about foreign currency today. Thanks for waking me up. Your book is life-changing. Trauma pushed me over. I find it hard to handle my anger, and I want to get back. Get it back on people. Is resentment inevitable? It is, until you realize that revenge and resentment is not profitable. So the longer you dwell on that, the longer you stay in one place, pretty much. Again, I'll give you this advice. Go read my work on revenge. I have an essay that actually this year called Pro Revenge, and then I also did an episode on this show called Revenge. So look those up. I will leave you with the wise words of what's his name, Inigo Montoya, the fencer extraordinaire from Princess Bride. There's not a lot of money in revenge. That's a wise thing to keep in your brain. Sam Whiskey says, hey, Rollo, could moving from the red pill to purple pill be perceived wrongly by men as their epiphany phase? I know what you're talking about. This is the Roosh conundrum, right? At some point, you kind of like, you have to, right? You have to go purple pill at some point. No, you don't. I'm living proof of that right now. In fact, I attribute my success in my marriage to my red pill awareness. Does that mean I'm going out and see? People mistake red pill with like banging random hoes, right? Or going out there, fuck anything on 2 legs, right? Go, what is it? Spin plates. Just do it until you're dead. Some guys can, some guys might, but most guys aren't, because they want to have kids. I think so. We wouldn't have such an obsession. I think an evolved obsessive interest in our own paternity if men didn't want kids. We do want kids. We do want to have children. And that's the whole point, right? That's it. That's evolution for you. Whether you know them or not, whether you raise them or not, still, even if you see a hot girl and you really want to just like get one off inside a nut in that girl, that's the parental instinct, right? You don't think of it at the time. You think, man, she'd be a really good sexual experience. You're not thinking long term. You're not thinking, oh boy, I love her. She'd make a real great mom. Come on over here. You don't do that. You want to live in the now and get laid. Sure. But ultimately, what's the latent purpose of that? Reproduction. But like, I know what you're saying. So what happens is guys will go, let's see, like they'll try to make up rationales for like they make their necessities their virtues. So if your necessity is, I have to get married to have children, or I knock this bitch up and she says we're going to get married, or I'm going to abort this child, I'm going to get married, and I'm going to have to find a way to make it seem like I wanted to get married. And a lot of guys do that. There are very few guys. I don't know. I think of myself as kind of an anomaly here, because most guys, when they have babies or when they get married, it's usually as a result of them knocking up their girlfriend accidentally. And they wanted to do the right thing. You remember 42% of children are born out of wedlock right now. So that's at least 42% of kids that aren't born with, aren't born the way that I had my kid. And this is not me like, flexing on anybody, but it's like, I am an anomaly. Right. And it's not because I planned it that way. It's just because that's what happened. Right. I probably could have knocked up girls as much as anybody else. I had 40 plus women in my life. There might be a little Rollo run. There might be would be an adult Rollo running around. Don't come to my front door and tell me you're Rollo Jr. Okay. I don't want to know at this point. That's a distinct, it could be, and I just don't know about it. But fact remains is that, assuming that didn't happen, I did everything the right way according to the old order way, right? I met my wife. We dated for about a year, married her, and we waited 2 years before we had a kid. And we planned to have a kid. She went off birth control. I enjoyed myself for a good long time. I was actually hoping it would take longer. And then we had a child, and we raised her to adulthood. She's now 22. That's an anomaly right now. It used to be the normal way to do things. Now it's kind of like, whoa, really? Yeah. And guess what? Her parents are still together. That's an anomaly too. So when guys get into those situations, they have to find ways to sort of justify why they went from being the beast to being the prince. And so they will find the purple pill. And that's what helps them justify it. And here's the thing is, if you made a living being the beast, being Tucker Max, being, Dan Blitzerian, being, Todd Valentine, being whoever, being a mystery, right? Mystery method. And then suddenly you're older and you can't, or you don't want to keep up that same, plate spinning, and you would like something a little more stable. You would like somebody home when you come home. Well, that's great, but you've made a living. Your entire living, the way that your lifestyle is predicated on you being, a CAD, being a player. You teach other players how to be better players. And now you're not a player anymore. So what can you do? Well, you can either leave the business and try something and remake yourself and do something else, or you can say, you know what? I got this new thing. It's called marriage. You guys try it. Come on over here. I got this new formula. I got this new plan. Here's how you can do marriage, right? Here's how you have a better marriage. I knew it all along. I didn't get into this. That's the prodigal son narrative. Now I'm going to go forever. And that is exactly, a purple pill is the prodigal son. And if you've ever read the Bible, or actually I shouldn't say the Bible, because prodigal son as an archetype, as a story, is like, there's a lot of different versions of this, but Jesus had the most famous one, and it's the prodigal son. It's the parable of the prodigal son. And it goes something like this. I'm paraphrasing. There was a rich man, and he had sons and whatever, and he had some unruly, restless son, and the son said, give me my inheritance now. I'm going to go and blow it on, I'm going to blow it on hookers and blow. That's what I'm going to do. Right. Hey, thanks dad. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm out. And leaves the family and goes off to seek his fame and fortune and spend his, basically blows it on women, blows it on hookers and blow. Right. He pretty much wastes it all. He's poor, destitute, living. Goes for years and years, and then says, you know what, this sucks. I thought I had this, but I didn't. I thought I had this under control, but I don't. I'm living with pigs, right? That's what I think that was part of it. Like, I'm living with swine, but what is it? But the swine of my father's house eat better than I do. So I'm going to go back to my father, and maybe he'll make me his servant or something, or maybe he'll just, it's better to be under his roof as a slave than it is to be out here in this ghetto ass world, right? So he goes back to dad, and he sees him coming down the road, and he tells everybody, slay the fatted calf and blow the trumpets and let's get the streamers and put the balloons up and let's have a big ass, feast and party and everything. My son is back. Oh, my son, right? Comes back in, and the son says, oh, just please, just make me a servant and put me, I'll watch the pigs or something. And the father says, no, you're my son. You come back. Dresses him in fine clothes and everything and brings him, basically celebrates him. And of course his brothers go, what the hell, man? I've been faithful to you this whole time. How come I'm screwed? I didn't screw off. Why are you rewarding the screw off? And then he says, well, my son has returned to me. He was lost and he's returned to me. That's why we slay the fatted calf and we have a party and yada, yada, yada. So I understand. It's funny, people will relate, I think, sometimes with the people who are more like the faithful, right? Really, that's who the brothers represent, is the people who never strayed from the path, never strayed from the Father's house. And then you got the guy who is sort of this wayward guy who lives indiscriminately and hookers and blow, right? Leaves and takes off and falls away from the path, falls away from the religion, falls away from the family. Really, that's what it is. It's tribalism. That's 101. Leaves the tribe, comes back to the tribe. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Well, why do they celebrate? They celebrate when he comes back because it seems like a human thing to do, right? Oh, well, I got my son back. I thought you were lost. I love you. Come back. I did what you wanted me to, but you left and you screwed it up and you came back. But you know better. We welcome you back. Thank you for coming. We love you. Celebrate. And so there's the human aspect of it, but there's also the religion or family reaffirming part of that story. And that's really what I think is the most important part of this. I think the human element is important too, but like when somebody strays from their religion, I don't care what religion it is, strays from the family and then comes back to the family. What that does is it reaffirms the correctness of the family, or the correctness of the religion, or the correctness of whatever. So that must be the true faith, because if it wasn't, he would have stayed out there and made $1 million, right? Things would have worked out better for him if that was the case, but it's not. So when you see someone like Roosh, who was allegedly, I guess he was sort of religious for a while and then fell away from it, obviously, he's playing on the prodigal son archetypal story. And doing a good job at it too, because like there's suckers in that side of the fence too, right? They love that. You want to know why they love Roosh? Why Christian women? I saw him just brief. Like somebody sent me a clip of it. I couldn't watch more than like 3 minutes of it, but he'd gone on some show with 2 women who were like religious women. I know mommy bloggers or something like that. And, very religious and quoting scripture. And I don't think they were of his religion, but they're Christian women and wanted to talk to him because, he was the former pickup artist. And you know what? Julian Blank did the same thing. And you know what? Tucker Max did the same thing. And maybe to a lesser extent, Todd Valentine did. But the guys that are sort of purple pill, the guys that stray from the faith, right? And when they come back and go, you know what? Sorry, I'm actually a Christian now. I see the light. Sorry, ladies, I can't believe I was such a jerk. Now I'm married and I have a kid. Oh, and they love him. Oh, you're a Christian now. Oh, you're a husband now. Oh, you're a father now. You know why they welcome him with open arms? It's because it reaffirms their ego investments. Their ego invested in the idea that they're like the feminine correct society is the correct way to live. That's the correct way to do it. So that's how it should work. Whether it is or it isn't is irrelevant. What I'm talking about is the story. Okay. You can talk about right and wrong and all that other. That's okay. We can talk about that subjectively or objectively. What I'm talking about is why is it attractive to why do these girls who would call him a rape apologist in any other year, like any year prior to 2019 would say, he's a rape apologist. I don't want him on my show. But he said, no, I've come back to the faith. I'm against what is it? I'm against pornography. I'm against fornication. I'm against, I've deleted all my books, the ones that I couldn't sell on Kindle anymore. I deleted all those, right? I deleted Return of Kings, which I couldn't make any money on because PayPal and all my payment processors were gone. But that's okay. No, never mind about that. The prodigal son returneth. And you know what? People love it. It's okay. You know what, bro? Kudos to you, man. Brilliant, brilliant play. Because I don't know how long it'll last. He'll find something else soon. And I don't want to pick on just Roosh because a lot of guys did this too. Tucker Max did this. Julian Blank did this. When Julian Blank got married, like I can show you videos of Julian Blank saying only suckers and chumps would ever get married. And then now he's got a new one out saying, no, only suckers and chumps never get married. All right, man, whatever, dude. But it's the prodigal son returneth. Open arms. Everybody come back. We're all good. I'm one of you. Guess what? By me accepting your belief set, Christians, Muslim, Jews, tradcons, mothers, red pill sun hat ladies, you win. You win. I accept your belief set. I accept your terms. I always have, but I fell away. But welcome me back. I'm the prodigal son. Fuck you. Right? Fuck you when you know it, when you see it coming. But you know what? Fuck the people who are also like accepting of that too, because they're just as stupid and they're being played and they're cool with it because it reaffirms their belief set. It reaffirms their ego invested beliefs. Because he came back. There must be right if he came back, right? That's really the secret of the prodigal son. And I don't mean that in a heretical, horrible way. I'm just saying that those are the dynamics. This is social dynamics that are involved in all that. Sorry, that was really long, but I meant to say that during my full-on thing. Nexion says, I guess my $5 and question weren't relevant. I asked about his earlier live in there. And now reference whether province and profit. Sorry, dude, I'm out of it here. What the hell did you say? It was temporal provincial. Temporal provincial. Do you want me to go dig up the Wikipedia thing? I'll dig it up for you. It's temporal provincial. Coach Ray says, I heard a cast the other day in which Dr. Sean Smith expressed disagreement with your definition of hypergamy. Is that why he's out of the club? No, Coach Ray. Let me explain to you something. So here's the thing with respect to Sean. Sean's not out of the club, right? I'm happy to talk to Sean whenever. I'm just not. Sean is guys like Sean and guys like Dr. Glover are. They made their selves, their work and everything that they do is sort of based on I'll say old order thinking, but based on an old order way of thinking. And so along comes the red pill and it challenges a lot of the stuff that they built a lifetime on. It's very similar to that, to what I've been talking about in this is, so if you've got a guy who's like, let's say Coach Greg Adams, right? Or Coach Red Pill or Coach whatever, and they're billing themselves as red pill men or MGTOW, whatever it is, they're billing themselves as technically as therapy for guys. Like, how can you live a better life? Come over here. I'll do people look to me, right? They go, hey, can you give me some counseling? Yeah. After the damn fourth book is done, and I'll be happy to take all the counseling I can stomach. But imagine that you go to 8 years of, you get your doctorate in clinical psychology and you got a guy on YouTube who has more clients than you, making more money than you, who never didn't spend more than, two years in community college. That's tough. So what do? Well, you got to go on the attack. Now, he disagrees with my definition of hypergamy because he doesn't understand the definition of hypergamy. I've already had this conversation. You can go look it up on Rich Cooper's channel. I had a debate with Sean about hypergamy. And so that was what's going on there. The reason that you think he's out of the club is because Sean Smith is going and talking at the 21 convention. At least that's to my knowledge. The last thing I saw, he was going to go talk at the 21 convention. I will not, let me make this official. I will not work with you if you are a speaker at the 21 convention. Simple as that. And so there's no club. There's no ideological purity. There's nothing. It's just I've said this before. I will say it one more time. Is if you are foolish enough to think that there's any legitimacy in that organization, you are working with a guy who lacks integrity, and you yourself lack integrity for not seeing that. So they say, well, do we have to pick sides and teams? Yeah, you kind of do. Sorry, but you kind of do, because that's a grift, and I'm trying to make a division between hustle and truth at this point. And if you think it's not a club, right? It's just like I can choose who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. And there's no club to be had in the first place. As far as I know, Rich will still I think he's still talking with Sean. I don't know if he's doing a show with him anymore, but so what? Right? So what? I like Sean. I like what he said. I've done stuff with him before. I was actually one of the guys that got him on for the 2018 convention. So it's nothing personal. It's just that I don't want to work with people who are working with that guy. I don't want to work with people who don't see it. You will at some point. If you didn't see it after last year and all that obsessive compulsive bullshit, you didn't see the pathology and the psychopathy in that, then I can't help you. And I certainly don't want to work with you. Sam, I have emailed Rollo and not heard back. Who is this? Oh, Simple Fly. Simple Fly, I will get back to you, I promise. Elf says, had a super towards the beginning asking about Patreon alternatives that you missed. Any plans for subscriber star as contingency for Patreon if it gets shut down? Okay, I have a contingency for Patreon, although it's not subscriber star. It is locals right now. It's the one that Dave Rubin uses, and I think Jordan Peterson was using as well. It seemed like a good one. I have established an account there. I haven't moved anything or transferred anything over. I haven't copied anything to it, but if I have to, I will. So if I ever get dumped off of Patreon, and I don't see that I will, I don't make all that much of a Patreon. I would like to expand Patreon a little bit more to give a little bit more personal service, I guess. I have so many guys that want counseling right now that I can't physically, humanly do all that counseling. Like I was just saying about clinical psychology. I can't do all of that individually. So I want to do a group thing. And that should be coming up this Monday, middle of this week. I'm going to announce, I'm going to do it on a quarterly basis. It's going to be, there's going to be a fall session, a spring session, a winter session, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do group counseling. I'm going to limit it to 25 guys at this point, unless there's like a super huge, outcry for it. I'm going to do it twice in the month that I do it. So if I do it in October, it'll be twice in October, or maybe once in September, once in October, because there has to be a definite beginning and end. I had thought about doing a special tier on Patreon for like $150 or $200 for that tier of membership, so that you can be involved in sort of like the counseling thing. But the problem is I can't do that regularly. And I announced this on Patreon. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, why not? And then second of all, you wouldn't know that I'm doing these because there's such a demand and such a need for them, like for individuals. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. If not, I'm still going to do, individual stuff. But I am also planning a book tour. That's another announcement I was going to make. As soon as book 4 is out, I will be doing a book tour in 2021. in support of religion and probably my other stuff too. I don't know that I might do some talks. I'm not really sure. I haven't really decided yet, but I will do a book tour and a book signing thing. I have to do them independently by myself because I'm an independently published author. So you won't see me at Barnes and Noble. You'll probably see me at some freaking coffee shop or some liquor store. Come get your book signed at Joe's liquor store down the street. Yes. And yes, I am using my leads and my liquor job to help me out a little bit on that. But I'm planning on doing that. I would like to get to other countries too. So that's coming up. Bold Bradford Hogue says, I am 50 and just learning about your material. What should I do? Thank you for your work, Rollo. Well, first off, you should do is buy The Rational Male, which is this book right there. See, it's also in the links. If you want to support the show, by the way, or if you want to purchase that book, you can buy the three. You can buy the 3 big set. Everything's available on Amazon. Book 4 will be within the next, let's say, 4 weeks. I'm giving myself a little more time. Next 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Next 5 weeks, you'll have book 4. So that's the first place to start, and then become a Patreon subscriber. Watch this show. Hit me if you have any questions or whatever. You can always email me. Josie said, Josie, I have you right here. Yes, I am totally snubbing Aaron Clary once again. Here's a special announcement. Special announcement is I'm going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons with Aaron Clary of all people on Wednesday of this week on The Masculine Geek. I am running the game. So if you want to see what a great storyteller I am, you can. We actually have myself, TJ, Aaron Clary, Vince, Rob from Rob Says, and my friend Spencer Harding is going to be there. So that's 6 of us. Oh, and Drew Bay is going to be there. So 7 guys, 7 of us. So one DM being me and 6 other guys. That'll be fun. You guys will dig it. It's old school stuff too. It's fun. You will laugh your ass off if you watch it. Entertain. Remember, this isn't Rollo Tomassi, the red pill Godfather dude. This is like goof off time. So you'll probably enjoy it just for the entertainment value. But it's on this channel called The Masculine Geek, which is a red pill sort of gamers channel, or it's like a pro masculine gamers channel. So check it out. And then lastly, and don't send me any more. Alpha Male says, your thoughts on TikTok. Teens going their own way. I'd say you're fucking idiots. That's what I would say. Teens going their own way. How about this? What about tweens going their own way? Let's go. Or what about grammar gig-tows going their own? Where does it end, dude? Again, why would you, as a teen, why would you have any experience enough to know what or what not to do? Why would you have any experience any live, real experience of like women's nature, right? To the point where you would make that like sort of like your ideological, because that's what it is. I think a lot of people think that the red pill is an ideology. It's not. It's praxeology. But I can definitely say that there are ideologies that love to incorporate love to incorporate red pill into it, and that's what that is. It's a wrong prescription. Sorry, guys. That's it. All right. Did I get to everybody? I think I did. Oh, the Commodore says, we live in a time of abundance, which has contributed to women's inflated value. Yes. The cycle will shift to scarcity as it always has throughout history. We'll see. We'll see. We don't live in those times anymore. I remember when people said, oh man, the COVID is going to cost us the Great Depression. Still waiting on that. Because we live in a different day. We have different form. This is all new territory, guys. It's not, the pendulum. No, it's all new. Keep going. The border's cleared, but you have to keep going forward. And so the stuff that you thought we're going to see a global depression or a global recession or a global this or that. Well, we might, but it won't be identical to the one that happened in the 1930s. Maybe it'd be worse. Who knows? But making comparisons to stuff like that, you need to understand that we live in a different age and a different time with different technologies that they simply just didn't have back then. Alpha Male says chivalry can be red pill too. It means being a gentleman, which means being gentle, but being aggressive an aggressive man if necessary. Well, chivalry means nothing of the sort. I've done a full episode on chivalry. Chivalry is a code of ethics that was only intended to be a code amongst men, and only a code amongst noble, honorable men of the time. Only the romantic notion of chivalry that you've just described for us is actually courtly love and the romantic ideal, which is a bastardization of the real code of chivalry, because what you think of as chivalry right now was actually feminism 1.0. Go look it up. Go look at my chivalry episode and you will understand what I'm talking about. JW says, hey, Rollo, could you donate to my GoFundMe regarding Amber Heard and WB? No. Not that I don't care. It's just that I don't care. She's going to get hers anyways. I wouldn't worry about it. Christopher says, respect. Your books are edifying. Love me all. Love me all. You love them all, you? Okay. And Chris, I talked to Anon, says, what do you think of guys like Kevin Samuels? Okay, this is the one I was trying to get back to. Sorry, guys. What do you think of guys like Kevin Samuels? I don't know who that is. I'm a huge fan. He talks about how red pill guys have a lot of things wrong about money and success. Is he in the success pill? Is he like the porn, one of the, what is it? Success porn guys? I don't know. I'm not familiar with Kevin Samuels. I'll go look him up though, now that you mentioned it. And that, in the interest of saving the red pill, can any contingency plans? Okay. I already got that. I got to you. Rouge V is on the MGTOW Mirror Project. I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know what that is, but I will look. All right, guys, it's been 3 hours and this is way too long. Through Wednesday's show. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already seen this, wasn't this a great thumbnail? I love that thumbnail. If you haven't seen this, we will be doing Rule Zero Live, October 2nd through 3rd, 2020. You guys all know this. I talked about this yesterday. We start at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it is limited registration. Opens on September 12th through the 16th. If you already hold tickets from the postponed convention that we were going to do live in Vegas, hang on to them. You're already in. You already get access. If I haven't given you a refund already, I have given 8 refunds on the original sale of all of this. So if you're looking for a refund, I'm happy to give it to you, but I have only given 8 thus far. So that said, if you wanted to get in on this, you can. It's a limited time though. We're only opening it for registration for 12th through the 16th. And we're mostly doing this because we have new speakers on here who haven't sold any tickets, such as Myron Gaines, Aaron Clary. We also have Paul Benjamin. We've got Sterling Cooper, and we've got John Fitch, who is an MMA fighter. It's going to be a really good. The best thing about this lineup is nobody's talking about the same thing. Everybody's got some other angle on here, but they're all very red pill. They're all very. We're all on the same page. Put it that way. I don't work with guys who I don't think are on the same page. So there you go. Check that out. The price is $597, and I said the registration starts the 12th through the 16th. You can buy through me or any of the fine gentlemen you see on this picture right here. You probably know them already. And if you're on their private community or you're my Patreon community, that's fine. Even if you're not, it's okay because this is an online thing. So that will open on the 12th through the 16th. Watch for that. We're going to have a special Rule Zero online episode on Rich Cooper's channel on Saturday of next week. So that is coming up. There you go. And finally, last but not least, here's the really great, announcement. Is on Wednesday, I'm going to be speaking with Myron Gaines. I'm going to have him on this show, and we're going to discuss the red pill in theory and the red pill in practice. Because I see what he's doing right now is a lot more, his way of game, I guess, is very rooted in red pill. If you have ever been in any of the counseling sessions or any of the live sessions that John from Modern Life Dating does, you'll know that he and I sort of like ping pong between each other when we're sort of handling some of the problems that guys come up to us with on there. And so I wanted to get him on the show, and I wanted to talk to him about like the differences and the like differences in game now, and as opposed to prior, like back in the mid 2000s. But I wanted to sort of have a show based on how red pill is a theory and game is the practice. And so I'm going to be the theory and he's going to be the practice. So that should be something fun to look forward to. That will be Wednesday, same time as the show, which is 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And that will be that. And his name is John Fitch, not John Fitch. What the hell are you talking about? Fitch? Fish? Filch? Very funny. All right, man. Thanks, guys. I will see you all on Wednesday. And tomorrow in the afternoon, I will be doing my live Q&A for Patreon tomorrow. So if you are a Patreon subscriber and you want to get in some questions and some more like sort of, you want to get some me time in, hit me up on Patreon. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.